What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. If you have not had a chance, stop on by Facebook and select channel at the top of the page. Join our channel updates. It tells you what time we're going to be on, all that type of stuff. Make sure you do that. Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Leroy and I have the helm tonight. Interesting story. Leroy just suffered a victim of a hit and run, but wasn't involved in a vehicle. He'll tell you all about it. It's an interesting story. He's fine, of course. He's here. Talk about the Epstein files. Talk about the conservative meltdown 2.0. I want to talk about it as well. Whole bunch of other stuff. What does it mean that Jeff Bezos has sold 666 million shares, $666 million in shares, and over $6.2 billion this year alone? Well, I'll tell you what it means. That sounds like an exodus, or creating liquidity for something else. We'll find out. How does that impact the economy? All that other stuff. Leroy and I have the helm. We will be back. Do me a favor. Go over to thedumbshow.com. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go over there and buy yourself a hat, some shirts, some coffee. Best coffee in the world. A lot of cool stuff. Go on over there. Take a look. And make sure you share and subscribe and all that stuff. And we would appreciate it. Ryan Weaver will be here Wednesday. We're very excited for that. Hope that you will be able to join us. Be a good show tonight. They're always fun with Leroy. And we had a really good one last night. We'll do it again. And we will see you in the backside of about 3 minutes. Make sure you share with your friends and family. Tell them to stop on by. We'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me Show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Phone lines are officially open. Leroy is in the house. We're going to get him out of the green room. If you have not had a chance, please like, share, and subscribe. Bobby Richardson with the last donation last night of the evening, $515.38. Unbelievable, Bobby. We appreciate it. Everyone who donated, we can't thank you enough. I want to start you off with a story. Well, and the light's dimming. Thank you. But we're not ready for that. So knock it off. We want to start off with a story. But first, you may have seen all the way down there next to the 4-star flag and the 50-star flag there is a plaque that we wound up getting from Raymond's Trophy Shop, and my cousin Megan and Randy, who are just absolute amazing human beings. We love them to death. Shipped us. It just came from the foundry. The flag shield.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, full metal, carved, all the names individually, carved in there. It's ridiculous, and it is. It finishes the studio off, and we are very, very excited. And I don't know why my lights keep doing this. This happens sometimes. So there, I fixed it again. But anyway, something to think about, something cool, and we'll bring Leroy in. So welcome, Leroy, to the show. Good to have you, dude. We're getting Ryan Weaver back. Were you here with Ryan last time he was on?
I was. I had the opportunity to ask him a few questions, and boy, what a great guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just
super.
I could listen to him all day.
Yeah, he's just a kind human being. And what's so funny, he's so damn busy. He's like, dude, I can't come on your show for 2.5 months, but reach out to me in July. You know how many times I hear that from people, and then I reach out to them and they don't get back to you, and Ryan's like, dude, I'm here. I have it on my calendar. We're ready to go. Let's go. And he's just a good human being. So
yeah.
We'll have him here Wednesday. That'll be fun. And then obviously Thursday, Leroy and I'll be back. And then Friday, it'll be Red Friday, and we will have an amazing time. The green room is coming along because not only did we do this studio, we wanted to have the other entrance. Like when you walk in, to the left is this studio. To the right is the old studio, and it's a 12 by 15 room. Well, we're turning that into a green room, and that's going to be a library. But it's also going to be a sitting area where you can have a cigar, you can have, a whiskey, and a camera will be in there, obviously. So if we have guests, and we anticipate getting, physical guests. We're just getting these stages out of the way until we can. And they can go in there and kind of chill out and relax. And, we'll have a room with library book. There'll be a library with books. There'll be a computer there for them to use. They want to do research, a printer, and we're doing a library green. So we're pretty excited about it. And it's hunter, real dark green, and everything's mahogany, and it's going to look awesome. We're excited. So this is a little project that we're doing, and we got inspired by doing this room that we're like, well, we can do everything. Let's do it ourselves. You want to tell your story first? You went through something a lot more traumatic. This is just me gabbing. So why don't you tell us?
I texted you the actual video of what my cameras observed, and if you want to play that while I tell everyone what happened.
Yeah, let me get it up. That's what she said. How long is this video? Yep, I see it.
It's only like 30 seconds.
All right, I'll just.
So I was on my way.
Playing it on loop.
I was on my way home, and my wife started madly texting me and basically saying, hey, we need you to check the cameras. And as it turns out, my next door neighbor was having some furniture delivered or picked up. I can't remember what they said. And as that delivery truck came by, it smacked my tree and caused a fairly substantial amount. It doesn't look like it did, but it caused a substantial amount of damage to my kid's car. That's his Subaru
WRX, yeah.
Yeah. He loves that car more than life itself. And so on the back of it, you can see where it made the impact there.
Well, why
on
is
the back of the car?
Why is he driving so close to the you see how he's not even in the road. He's hugging. Look how much he turns.
Yeah.
See, like he comes in to like park there because look at his wheel. It's turned to the right. Like he's gonna literally right up your side to park. And then he hits it. So he went where he shouldn't have. And then he swerves out of the way. So it's his fault.
Yeah. That's what I said. So
what a jackass.
There's a substantial amount of damage to my kid's car on the deck lid. He ripped off a piece of the trunk, as well as the bumper cover itself, to say nothing of the fact that my tree is now, missing a huge branch and caused a whole bunch of damage to my mailbox and my driveway.
Well, then he almost hits the other tree.
Yeah. And so we contacted the owner of the furniture company, and we're like, hey, this just happened. And they had admitted to us, oh, well, we don't own those trucks. We just lease them out to said company.
Yeah, who cares?
So my kid ran out there, right, as one would, stopped the guy and was like, "Hey, you hit my car. I need all of your driver's license. I need your insurance. I need all of this stuff." Because plainly, what that truck is a former Penske truck. So as it turns out, it's like this random. It was a pair of Mexican dudes, couldn't speak any English.
Uh-oh.
Right,
Uh-oh.
right.
Should have called ICE.
See where this is headed.
Yeah.
And so they jumped out of the truck, and my kid was like, "Hey, I need your driver's license." And they were like, "No hablo inglés" kind of deal.
Nice.
And then they took off. So we called the police, and the police were like, "Didn't you hold them there?" I'm like, "What?
What? My God. What do you want me to do?
Like, I wasn't even at home. What do you want my wife to do? She's 5'0", right? What's she gonna do?" So
well,
now
I was
we've
going to
got
say
this
those
whole thing
branches look
ongoing.
like they were hanging a little low. I mean, tree trims are like at least $200-300. They did save you that.
Well, if when our mail delivery driver can get under it with no issues, then
Oh yeah,
I don't.
that thing
This
is
is a huge ass truck.
yes, that truck is used to deliver furniture and oversized stuff,
Right.
canoes, pontoon boats,
Apparently, maybe some crystal meth over the border. Who knows? I'm
gliders.
just speculating.
Yeah, well, what I would have done is, drawn on them and said you need to open up the back because I guarantee they were coyoting. There's got to be at least 100 illegals in there. But the whole point is this guy's
Starving
toast.
for water.
Well, this guy came
He
right.
left
This
the
guy,
scene of a crime.
Well, this is the thing. If you look, he's heading. It looks like he was almost going to hit your son's Subaru. He's turned so hard. Look at his tire. That's all they need to know. Look at his tire. It's turning into. And then the only thing that probably saved your son's back end, because that's got to be probably a 3.5-foot clearance or so. That seems like a lot, but not when you're dealing with a Godzilla truck. And he rips the lower edge off it. It's not the height of the truck that gets it. Look.
Yeah.
It literally hits at the 12-foot level, not the 15-foot level. So this guy's screwed. He turned into the tree. That's not a truck issue. That's I'm an idiot fucking driver issue.
Yeah.
This guy's toast.
No hablo inglés.
I would call Tom home and see what's going on, dude. See if we can get him involved. I'll pull some strings, Jeez
I
Louise.
think we can get a hold of Cash Patel, right? We can elevate this. Apparently,
Well-
we know who did the whole Epstein thing, right?
Well,
Are we
yeah,
gonna
I mean,
cover
yeah, we are, but this is our Justice Department, so you might not want to call them because they'll probably tell you that there was no truck, and in fact, there was no list for the furniture delivery to begin with.
Right.
That's what they'll.
These
tell
aren't
you.
the Mexicans you're looking for.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
I've heard this before.
You don't need to see my driver's identification. I'm surprised they didn't use that Mexican mind tricks on your son.
Right.
You don't need to see
Would
my
you like a
identification.
tamale instead? Sure.
It's good stuff. Wow. Well,
Unbelievable.
I'm sorry about your story. My story's better. Overall, as a feel good thing. Hey, hi, Mr. Hollandaise Sauce, Maddie. Thank you so much. $31.40. Getting us started off right tonight. That means
Thank you,
great.
sir.
Yeah, that means a great deal. It means a great deal. So thank you for the donation. Everyone's been donating really early. I think they're recognizing that it's a lot easier on my psyche, for sure, than having to, sit there and just stew about it and wait for it to show up.
My man.
I'm gonna read you a little story, and I have not had a chance to write much recently, and reason being is the build was insane and took a long time, but I just to be completely transparent, it doesn't pay the bills, and because I don't do ads on it, so it's hard for me to justify. But that doesn't mean I don't want to continue to do it. So I'm going to continue to write, but it just may not be as often as we want it to be on the dumb news. But that's not 100%. But I figured I would write this down because this is a story that deserves to be told. And I've been re-inspired by Mike Rowe. Every couple of months, I go back and I listen to something that Mike has done, and I'll be honest with you, I think I've listened to just about everything Mike Rowe's ever done.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, as Jordan Peterson is Leroy's hero, Mike Rowe is mine, and it's not that Leroy doesn't like Mike Rowe, because I know he likes Mike Rowe too. It's just the point is Mike is just amazing, but I don't listen to him much anymore because I just don't have the time. And the great thing is that I know I'm going to be inspired, but that old adage of comparison is just like the destroyer of success and creativity is absolutely true. And I find myself trying to compare myself to Mike Rowe, and I fail miserably from an inflection standpoint and as a writer. I fail miserably. But when I do catch a glimpse, he sucks me in, and it's like the sirens in the grotto, and I cannot escape the song. And I get sucked into his melodic voice and his amazing.
I was just gonna say, is it his deep baritone, sexy Barry White kind of voice, or is it the messaging that is being conveyed?
Yes, is
both.
the answer. Yeah, it's all of that, and the fact that he is an exceptionally well put together man at his age. Those things all. He's just the perfect guy, dude. He is he is the epitome of an alpha male. And I don't think he would say that he's an alpha male, but I if another man looks up to you, then there is an alpha perspective that can't be ignored. Anyway, I wrote this little thing, a little ode to him about the story, and it's basically it's not, this isn't what it is, but why I won't stand for that is the name of the narration. It's about July 4th, and it goes through American history, and it tells an amazing tale of 4 or 5 different people, including Francis Scott Key and a couple other key players in the American Revolution at Fort McHenry. And it is just a gorgeous, a beautiful story. And every time it comes on, I have to stop and I have to watch the whole thing. It doesn't matter. It's like literally Entenmann's. You can't just eat one. So I got the Mike Rowe bug. So here I am. I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay. So here it is. We have a lot of people on, by the way. It's nice to see everybody. I wanted, if you have not shared to Twitter, please share to Twitter. Let's get this out there. And nice to see. Got about 40 on Twitter, 60, 70, 80, 90, 120 people on. That's Legacy, and another 40, 60, 70 on Wimkin and Rumble. So we're already at 200 and something, and that's pretty good. I want to tell you a story that has been forgotten. Not because it didn't matter, not because it was small, but because in a world that rewards spectacle and screams, the stories that whisper truth tend to get drowned out. This one began not in front of a camera, but in the sky on the 4th of July, no less. While most of the country was lighting sparklers and flipping burgers, somewhere above the soaked earth of central Texas, a Coast Guard chopper sliced through storm clouds, swollen with grief. Beneath it, devastation. The Guadalupe River had erupted, taking with it roads, cabins, and yes, lives. Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' summer retreat tucked just off the river's edge, had gone from a place of campfire songs and bunk bed giggles to a disaster zone overnight. Shoeless children clung to each other on patches of high ground. Counselors, some just barely adults themselves, stood ankle-deep in mud, scanning the floodwaters for friends who never made it out. And the rain, it kept falling. This is where we meet Scott Ruskin. Not a celebrity, not a politician, not someone chasing likes or looking for airtime, just a 26-year-old kid from Oxford, New Jersey, who used to wear a tie to work at KPMG before deciding one day that spreadsheets weren't going to be enough. He joined the Coast Guard in 2021, went through the grueling Aviation Survival Technician School in Petaluma, California, learned how to swim through riptides, lower from helicopters, and resuscitate strangers midair. Then he waited He waited for a call, for a case, for a reason to justify his own. On that Independence Day, the call came. By 7 a.m., he was strapped into a Coast Guard MH-65 Dolphin, hovering over a world turned upside down. The crew had minutes to act. Roads were gone. Boats, they were useless. The only way in or out was through the air. And the clock wasn't just ticking, it was roaring. Ruskin made the decision. "Drop me in. I'll handle triage from the ground," he said. He hit the ground in a rush of rotor wash, the wet earth sucking at his boots. The smell of floodwater, part mud, part diesel, part raw fear, hung thick in the air. No time to hesitate. He moved fast, identifying the injured, calming the hysterical, holding the hands of children, still in their pajamas, and some in nothing at all. He wrapped them in blankets, whispered that they were safe, and pointed to pilots towards survivors still waiting in trees and rooftops beyond. And when a counselor broke down in his arms, sobbing for the camper she couldn't find, he didn't promise miracles. He promised to stay, to keep going, to do everything that he could. Over the next 9 hours, Ruskin didn't sit, didn't rest, didn't quit, didn't eat. He coordinated helicopters like a conductor, orchestrating an operation that pulled 165 human lives out of death's grip. Little girls with scraped knees and tear-streaked faces, fathers with broken bones from trying to carry their kids to safety, grandmothers who thought they wouldn't live to see the sunrise. And when it was over, when the last survivor was loaded into the air, when the floodwaters had taken their toll and the camp was quiet except for the hum of generators and the sobs of the rescued, Scott didn't take a victory lap. He just said one thing: "I'm just a guy, and I'm doing my job." And that's the part I don't want to forget, because in this country, we're so quick to argue, so quick to divide, so quick to burn down the good just to make a point. But out there, knee-deep in the chaos, soaked to the bone, surrounded by tragedy, was a man who didn't ask for credit, who didn't need applause. He just showed up. And that's the heartbeat of America. Not the noise, not the ego, not the never-ending spin cycle. It's the rescue swimmer in the rain. It's the child lifted to safety. It's the hands that reach out when everything else fails and falls away, and the touch of God is ever present. Scott Ruskin didn't save 165 people because he wanted to be a hero. He did it because that's what we're supposed to do. Because somewhere deep in our DNA is the understanding that when people are drowning, we don't ask who they voted for. We just jump in. And if we ever lose that, if we ever lose the part of ourselves that still answers the call without needing a reason, then this country isn't just in danger of storms. It's in danger of forgetting what made it great in the first place. So let this story live. Let it be remembered. And let it remind us that heroes aren't born. They're made in the flood, in the fire, and in the moments we choose each other over ourselves. That's the America I still believe in. That's the one worth fighting for.
That was beautiful.
Unbelievable story of this guy. Absolutely incredible.
You know, I've known a handful of SAR swimmers over the years, mostly Navy, but a few Coast Guard as well. And hats off to them. I mean, I can't think of a tougher group of guys. And when you see them in action, it's like nothing else. You know, when you see these guys hauling up baskets or jumping out of aircraft from, 20, 30 feet to go and rescue somebody, it really is incredible.
Yeah. It's just awe-inspiring. And Congressional Medal of Honor has to be in his future. A Medal of Valor, something. I mean, I don't know if you can give him the how do you not give this guy the CMH? I understand it wasn't a wartime situation, but dude, I went through Harvey, and we saw our entire city underwater. Hell, we saw the entire city of Houston underwater, and we saw the same type of stuff, the same type of bravery, that sinew that ties us together. Black people helping white people. Gang members, not looting, but trying to help people survive.
Right.
Elderly, young people. I mean, it's a testament to who we are as Americans. But this is a story that deserves to be told. And yeah,
about 10 years ago, there was a movie about the Coast Guard rescue swimmers. It was called The Guardian. It starred Ashton Kutcher and Kevin Costner. And if you haven't seen it, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Excuse me. I could see them adding a part 2 to that and making it a real life story about Petty Officer Ruskin.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah. Well, I've known a few SAR swimmers myself, and they're a cut above the rest. A lot of people talk about SEAL training. Yeah, but SEALs aren't going into water that's essentially freezing, that is blacker than black, with 30, 40-foot swells, with electrical storms that could basically cook you and your entire crew if you aren't grounded properly. These guys are insane. And that's the best way. They're just insane. And I just can't explain how much admiration I have. When I was reading this story, I'm like, these newspapers aren't doing him justice. I'm like, this is no offense. And I don't mean to, certainly I don't believe that my writing is a testament to what he did. But I will tell you that I was reading these generic and anesthetized stories, and I was just appalled. Is there any poets left? Are there any laureates left? Are there any warrior poets left? There's got to be somebody. As I looked into Military Times, it was a political shill of a story. As I looked at NBC and MSNBC, Fox News, everybody, it was just reporting the facts. There was no marrow in the bone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me sad.
For every 10 or 15 negatively spun stories about the military that you see these days, be it the U.S. Navy, who tried to hide their Starlink antennas on the ships, or physical fitness standards, for all of the negative spin that you have, right? When stories like this come around, it really helps reground the idea or the effort to do better.
Right.
To have something to look up to, and to say, see that guy over there that did that? That's the guy that we should be honoring as a hero.
Yeah.
That's the guy that we should be striving to emulate, right? And
Yeah.
I just don't see enough of that. And so what you wrote was, on top of it being very poetic, it was beautifully written. I just don't think that you're going to get that type of writing out of anybody anymore.
You're not. But let's not forget that the New York Post thinks it does that, and the New Yorker believes it does that, and the Philadelphia Examiner believes it does that, and there are plenty of editorials that could have done that and chose not to. I don't mean standard news, 900 words with 3 ads on the columns. I'm talking about editorials, and the editor-in-chief has a responsibility to write about something like that. And the fact that they didn't, it makes me sick. You know? And if I'm going to write anything, honestly, I'm sick of the news stories are great, but I love Mike Rowe's, segments of That's How I Heard It.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
And that's what I could write that shit all day long, because to me, you're doing somebody justice. And I've always been better at examining someone else's success and courage versus my own. So, people say, "Oh, Matt should write a book. You've lived an interesting life." Honestly, I should write a book about people who have led far more interesting lives than me, because my story isn't that interesting. My story is a lot of failure and a lot of heartache and a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I'm not a person to emulate. I am a person to it's a cautionary tale of that you can still be a decent human being, have a great family, have a great wife, have great friends like Leroy and Amy and all of you, and still muck up most of what you've done. I always enjoy writing about other people. And as I have started my book, I am struggling to keep positive in my stories because some of them are just downright just negative. But that was the outcome, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So we'll find a happy balance.
I've read plenty of books where each and every chapter has some just terrible, terrible things that have happened to people. But somehow by the time you get to that final chapter in the book,
Yeah.
it is, despite everything that has happened, you would expect an outcome of that type of person to be this. And it's somebody who turned their lives completely around and was able to really, learn and capitalize on all of the mistakes and to not carry any sort of animosity or any sort of blackness with them.
Yeah.
And
No,
those are the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the people, and you've done that.
Well,
those are the people that are that we all should look up to,
Well, listen, I'm not trying to make this a segment about myself. I have learned one thing that's absolutely critical is that team is hands down one of the most important things, and the tribe mentality. And if it wasn't for my wife and my children, I wouldn't have ever escaped the darkness and escaped those things. It's just reflection on how we can be better, and you've done a great job because it's interesting because I don't look up to people. I don't get starstruck. I just don't. And you don't either. You and I are very similar in a lot of ways. That's why you and I have a 72-hour rule. And you mentioned it when we were in the car. We do have you and I probably after 72 hours, we will be at our finest at that point. But then after that, that's when the truth might start coming out because we both get frustrated with each other, right? Yeah. But unless there is a mission, and I truly believe that you and I could work together and do ungodly work if there was something outside the purview of you and I being the interaction and focus. And that's just professionalism. But, I do look up to you in a lot of ways. And I think it was best at the Barry Morgenstein photo shoot as I was vicariously living through you and checking your Chiefs uniform because that was my dream. And that was my goal. And to see you do that, to say that there wasn't a twinge of jealousy would be absolutely just DuPont plastic. But Barry, he's just like, wow, man. He's like, I love photographing military people, and I found myself going, and I'm like, this guy thinks he thinks I'm a civilian, and I'm like. For that moment, I had regret that I threw away my uniforms and did it. And then I just stopped and I said, look at that fucking uniform. I said, look at what Leroy's accomplished. And comparison is the destroyer of creativity and success and ingenuity and innovation. And I just stopped and I'm like, I'm so proud of my friend. I'm so proud of him.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go over there and I'm going to make him fucking look good and square him away. And it was a moment that I realized that the brothers in arms connection, no matter how far you've been away from it, is something we all continue to strive and want,
I will say this too. there is a higher likelihood of the people who go into the military and actually like carve out some level of success, and I include you in on that count. But you always hear that like the people that join the teams eventually. These are the people, the groups of people who are far more likely to be CEOs,
Mhm.
CFOs,
Yeah.
to ride some level of executive success because they are self-starters. They're motivated already. Um, and being part of that community forces you in a lot of ways into that.
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
forces
yeah.
you to say, all right, what is the next logical step in my progression? And whether or not you know it or not, just because somebody gets out at say the 6-year marker or the 10-year marker, whatever the case is, there is enough of that that has been imprinted on you, that has been programmed into people.
Right.
Sometimes it needs to be programmed. Other times it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. It's
Sometimes it's
assimilation.
just something innate in them.
Yeah.
It's part of their
It
personality already.
unlocks the thing that was already there.
Exactly. And so in a lot of ways, I see you as that. I see you as the guy with, yeah, you know what? Military's great, but it ain't for me. And we're able to carve out a huge layer of success in corporate America, where in a lot of ways it's more vicious, more cutthroat than even the military.
So
And that
yeah.
sounds odd to say, but it's absolutely true
I,
that a lot of times success in corporate America is far more difficult than the military.
well, you got to remember it was medical sep. It wasn't me wanting to leave. It's that the job that I wanted to do, I could no longer do. And I tried the Pentagon route. I tried the sitting in a skiff, and I couldn't do the work. So yes, there was a choice, but the medical also forced me because I was unable to function even like I loved sitting there and looking at imagery analysis, or I loved looking at message traffic, or I loved preparing briefs, no matter what I was doing, because that was 90% of my job. And the 10% that wasn't is what I wanted to do all the time. But you don't get to do that unless you literally are going to go join the teams or get out and go in the army and try to be, something else or whatever. But when after my accident, I didn't have any more joy doing those things because I could no longer do the other. So the 10% definitely codified the 90% for me to do. So you're right. It was a choice, but I could no longer do the job. The headaches, the terminal pain was just, and it is terminal pain. What I mean by terminal is not terminal as in forever with a never ending experience, but terminal in the sense that it was soldering my will to be successful and my will to want to, because you're essentially numbed all the time because of the medication. And it just ultimately was a transition into something else. But what's interesting, you said that, and then we'll move on. And I'm sure a lot of veterans who are listening in right now or spouses know what we're talking about. But if you ask me, could I have went into buds and had any success before the military? And the answer is absolutely not. Like, I would have rolled out and wrung out even at the end of my military career, which was short-lived for me. But I will tell you that you were absolutely right about the osmosis process that happens when you're around team guys or you're around soft guys, is that you have to adopt their, maybe not their ability, but their personality for a hunger for never failing. And if you do, you use it as a lesson to help you through the next evolution. And that is the key to success through buds. From every team guy you ask, or anybody who's been through it, is realizing that without the team, you are nothing. And it's not Delta, it's all about the team. And you do everything with the team, and your boat crew and your swim buddy essentially are your lifeline. And that's why that story of that team guy that got hit by the water when they were trying to board that vessel and was pulled out in the current, that his buddy just jumped in right after him. He died too. It is because that's your swim buddy. And it is ingrained upon you in that community that your swim buddy is your lifeline, and you do whatever you can to help save your team. it's kind of hard not to have that rub off on you when you rub shoulders with guys like that. And you may not get their ability, but you get the want and need to emulate that
Right.
passion for life.
Well, success breeds success.
Right. That's
And
true.
so by being surrounded by people who were unwilling to give up when that was the easy road, when they could have in terms of like, what the SEALs go through, what the Buds guys go through. We've all seen the movies. I've never gone through Bud, so I'm not going to say that I personally know what it's like, but I will
Right.
say that I have some similar comparisons for like Chief season, and it's the same lesson over and over again. What they're going to do is make you fail. They're going to make you fail in a controlled environment so that you know how far you can be broken and still come back.
Right.
So that you can know that you're going to fail, and it's better to do it now under controlled circumstances than it is when you're out there and somebody's life is dependent upon it. But if you fail now, you realize, okay, I screwed this up. What do I have to do better for next time? And not give up.
Yeah, that's and if you do give up, and what's interesting is Eli and I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I've talked this with other team guys over a breakfast or over a beer or watching 4th of July fireworks, and I asked the question, did you ever give up? And he's like, I gave up 1,000 times a night, but I didn't quit.
Right.
There's a difference. Giving up and quitting are two different things. Quitting means that I will not have a chance to give up again. But a buddy carried me, or a buddy put his arm under my shoulder, or they let me go ahead and go a little slack when I was pushing up Big Bertha, or I was pushing up a raft, and or we were breaking a wave and I just didn't paddle as hard as I needed to. I gave up, and my buddies carried me through. And that's the whole evolution of doing sit-ups in the ocean break, right? It's to show you that if one guy doesn't do the job, well, you exponentially put his weight on every other guy. So if you got a 240-pound guy, well, and you've got 35 guys left in that class, you're distributing that weight equally amongst everybody. And then if another guy doesn't pull his weight, this is the term pulling weight. Yeah. And that evolution is probably one of the most grueling and self-discovery exercises that I have no idea how it feels. But I can tell you that when you talk to people who've been through it, they will tell you that that's where the rubber meets the road. And you that's your first discovery of who's going to make it through the program and who's going to ring out. Is that's kind of the one that separates the men from the boys. That's the one that who's the shitbag, who's not carrying. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah. Vicky, $1.99 super chat. Thank you. Hey, button that up, and then if there's anything else you got, I'll give you the last word on that one.
Yeah. Again, what I learned going through Chief season was that, and we get asked this all the time, when somebody was struggling and everyone else would just kind of stand there frozen because that poor person is getting yelled at. It was, without a fail, 100% of the time, eventually they would look at the rest of us and say, are you just going to let your buddy fail? And then that's supposed to pull you out of that mindset and go, no, I'm not. Right. And so you either, throw them something that they were missing from a sea bag inspection, or you start get down and doing push-ups with them, whatever the case was. But you're there for your buddies too.
And swag was probably the most challenging and mental and physical experience that I've ever gone through. And I've heard Chief season is pretty freaking interesting, to say the least. Yeah. So today has been difficult. It's the 7-year anniversary of my oldest going home to be with Jesus after being hit by a train. Mallory, I am so terribly sorry. That's horrible. And I hope you find some solace in today, because that's hard. That's really, really hard. Vicky says, when did you guys get super chats? We've had them for a long time. The problem is they take 60% of whatever you give. So people kind of stayed away from super chats, and it's totally cool. I'm not complaining. If you want to give through super chats, that's great. Whatever's easy for y'all. And most people go to thedumbshow.com/donate. But yeah, YouTube stars and super chat, they keep like 65 to 80%. Like if you give me a star, it costs you like for 1,000, I don't know, $10 or something. If you give me 100 stars, I get a penny or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just a ripoff. And it's just, so do I want stars? I don't know, maybe. But it's really weird. I noticed my Facebook counter is off. It's blank. I got to recycle that. Anyway, okay, so you've seen, let's get into the news. We've got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell her just to hold right now and to reach out to Bobby, please. Could you grab me my drink, please? Thank you, son. So let's get into it. I'm assuming you got to see. Oh yeah, James. It's YouTube takes like 60% of my super chats. Yeah. So I get like 40 cents on the dollar. And on thedumbshow.com, they take 2%, and you have a choice to actually include that 10% in your donation, and then it's free for me. So in taxes last year, or in money that I gave PayPal, I can also write that off on taxes. So PayPal is and Venmo, they're the best. But Stars and YouTube is pretty crappy. Stars is complete shit. Thanks, buddy. All right, let's get to it. We got work to do. I want to clarify something from last night, and then I want Leroy's opinion because I'm really excited about this. We're going to do 2.0 and of the Epstein. JD says, who the F is this guy? Who are we talking about?
That was me. He was being sarcastic towards me.
I can't see replies. So here's the thing. I want to be clear last night and say something. Do I trust Pam Bondi? No. No, I don't. Do I trust Dan Bongino? Yes. And do I trust Kash Patel? Yes. But my comment still stands. They were either lying then or lying now. Because I can't tell you how many times I heard Dan Bongino said, listen, folks, listen. I don't like to do this. But I've got friends who are on the inside. And they're telling me he has said that 1 million times about the Epstein files. So he is lying then or lying now. And people are like, well, maybe people were telling. Then you have no, listen, Dan Bongino of all people does not report things that aren't accurate. Dan should have said the following. Listen, you sent me here for a reason. I'm doing my job. And I'm going to tell you, here is A, B, C, and D of why this is what I believe or what I know. Not believe, what I know. But you know what? He shouldn't even have got involved in this. Epstein case isn't under his purview. Kash Patel is the leader of the director of the FBI. He is a director. And if you can't sit here and lay it out succinctly, then you shouldn't be talking about it. Now, Donald Trump has stuck his foot in it. And honestly, this makes me really concerned. But I want to get your opinion, Leroy. I'm going to show you something from Benny Johnson. I'm going to show you what Donald Trump said in his cabinet meeting, what Pam Bondi said in his cabinet meeting. And I don't know if I like what Donald Trump did today. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So your thoughts on this?
So I've been following this story, but only loosely. Mostly because by the time I got home, I was dealing with the insurance companies and reports.
Yeah, I know.
So, but I will say that as I understand it, when you go back in time about a year to when Kash Patel and Dan Bongino had his own show, and he was super critical about the Epstein, not only the suicide, but also the client list and all of the files that were attached to it and who was visiting the island. And he was very clear that he wanted that out in the open, and that if we as Americans voted in Trump and Kash Patel and, basically we were accepting of that whole cabinet, that we would eventually get answers. And we haven't had said answers yet. And so that makes you wonder, well, what was in the files? Now, I say that to say this. It's not that I distrust the government, but I distrust the government. I don't like anything that they are. Thank you, Vicky, who donated $10. Thank you, Vicky. You're awesome. What if it's not that Trump was on the list, as that has been speculated, but what if it's other Republicans? And the reason they're being intentionally left off is to protect the party in some way, shape, or form. If that's being done for the sake of protecting the party, instead of doing what you said you were going to do, which was expose all of this, then let's face it, between the two parties, right? The Democrats, who seem to have a very, very short memory span, they don't accept history for anything more than 10 minutes ago, versus the Republicans, who seem to have a much longer memory. I think it's the Republicans who should be more pissed off right now. Democrats aren't going to remember, because by the time the next scandal comes out, doesn't matter if it's left or right, they will have already emotionally moved on.
Oh, well, they're feeding
But
off
the
this.
well, what I'm saying is, for now, but this is the kind of thing that we should remember. We should remember who said that they were going to do what and when they didn't deliver.
The interesting point is like I said, I'm not disparaging Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. If they say there's no there, I trust them. But they still need to be held accountable for the things that they did when they come back to this sector. You ran on a podcast for 10 years and you said a lot of stuff, Dan, and so did Kash. And listen, this is why Leroy and I don't go off half-cocked, because we know what behind the curtain looks like. We know what the fog of war looks like. We understand the confines of open source information, and you don't have it. Joanne Townsend, $10. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne.
So Dan now gets to see beyond the looking glass, and a Secret Service guy isn't necessarily going to understand what an FBI director would. An FBI director is being read in on stuff that is, it's high side, all of it. I mean, he's not being read in on the local prognosis of 16-year-olds and below who are flirting with Aryan brotherhoods. That's not what he's learning. He's not learning about the latest counterfeit techniques. He is learning about international and geopolitical opportunities stateside and globally that can harm the security of the United States. That is his purview. And so he's going to get to see things that make him go, whoa, I got that wrong. And that's the difference between their shows and this show, is that we don't say things unless we know, based upon people that we trust or work that we've done that helps us walk through a line of educated prescriptions. And real quick, by the way, the Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan facilities, we told you so. Because now the media is backpedaling like fucking crazy. Now they're like, okay, it's going to be 2 years. Sorry. We knew all along. And we told you that there was extensive damage that is not going to make these things operable, let alone repairable anytime in the near future. And it's not just financial, it's the technology that Iran needs. Yeah. You just don't rebuild. I want you to build a sandcastle, and then I want you to put it back together. Well, that's what you're asking, because it's literally, the structural damage is magnificent. Leroy, you had something to say on that?
No, I would completely agree. I think our breakdown of the battle damage assessment on Natanz and Fordow were spot on. When we tried to figure out like how much Earth was exactly displaced, it was overwhelming. That you're talking thousands upon thousands of yards of Earth that had suddenly shifted and likely caved in on itself. JD Stillwell at $28.60 says, I know who bad Leroy Brown is, and have a great night, gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
JD, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Real
JD.
quick, Sandra says, well, doesn't or didn't Dan always bring receipts or info from fellow previous people he worked with to give him the info he spoke about? Yep, so he's lying now. Pick.
One of the two has to be true.
One of the two has to be true. He was lying then or he's lying now. Which one? And if Dan Bongino was sitting here, you know what Dan's going to say? Matt. But he'll probably block me because that's what he does. But instead of that, he would probably say, Matt, I was working off the information that I had at the time. Great. But it wasn't true. That's what you're saying. It wasn't true. Yes. Well, then you spread information that wasn't true. So you need to retract that.
Just admit that you were wrong then.
Yeah, I was wrong. I made a mistake.
Right.
The intel that I had wasn't accurate. And those sources that gave that to me, I'm going to have to question and possibly repudiate things in the future. Yeah, you're 100%. I've done it on this show. I've said it.
Yep. We both have. You know, that's one of the things that's great about this show is we really do try to leave emotions out of a lot of the decisions. I mean, we might point out the hypocrisy and get kind of pissed off about that. But overall, like, to that ability to step back without getting too emotionally like crazed about certain things, that's how you end up, you know, clicking on shit like CNN and Fox, and that's where you get all the angry people, and that's not us.
But no, and I get angry for different things. Like last night I was upset because I do believe that listen, I'm going to explain this real quick about Epstein. Could he have been set up, brought to be made a fool? But why? Why is it always this master plan? What does anyone have to benefit to make him an FBI director, make him look foolish? Why would anyone feed him information about Epstein? Dan Bongino talked about Epstein hundreds of times on his show since 2000 and I want to say 17. And when the rumors first came up and started scratching the surface, he was this is like people going, the stolen election. Do you think that General Flynn, they did it to make a fool of him? No, General Flynn made a fool of himself and still does about the specifics of the stolen election. And the thing about the stolen election, so is Dinesh D'Souza. And the simplest explanation is the one that I have been saying for 4.5 years, which is the only one that's been proven right. And now it is, because now everyone's like mail-in ballots. It's like, oh, wait a second. Do you watch The Dumb Show? Because I've lost viewers because of this. I've lost friends because of this. There's only one channel that has never changed their story since the 2020 election, and that's this show. And we're the only ones who got it right. Nobody has been saying this as long as we have. And even some of my fellow hosts disagree on some of the things I said. And we still were right. So this isn't about bragging, because it ain't bragging if it's true. But if you're wrong, you need to say you're wrong. That's it. Made a mistake. Hey, man, I was on a show. I was on a podcast. I didn't have the information I have now. Now I've seen behind the curtain, and I was wrong. That's all you got to say. And then everyone goes, okay, so let's go into some of these things. Yeah, didn't the New York FBI refuse to give them all the paperwork they had collected? Do you think that New York has the real list? I don't think there is a list, and I said there never was a list. You guys, there's no list. Listen, if you're running a pedophilia ring, you're not writing down names. And like Ghislaine Maxwell had a black book. The reason why she had a black book was for contacts. That black book is readily available. It's been stricken from the record. It's classified. They won't release it, and classified in the sense of not with, with having a designation, but it's untouchable is my point.
Right. Is she
it's
in the
sealed.
clink?
Oh yeah, 20 years.
Well, and what was she found guilty of?
Nothing. Obviously now of sex trafficking to nobody. Thousands of girls went nowhere. Because that's what they're saying. They're saying, and this is my problem with this whole thing, y'all, is, okay, let me explain something. If you saw that there was a stock market fraud ring inside, that was insider trading insider trading in the house, okay? What would you see? Okay, Nancy Pelosi, and Nadler, and pick whoever, have been caught doing insider trading. Okay, then what's the next thing you're going to hear? You're going to hear staffer of Nancy Pelosi arrested for insider trading scandal, the Pelosi scandal. Accountant arrested. Offshore accounts seized. A boatsman who received $100,000 in stock for setting up small purchases of cocaine into Jamaican islands to feed Schiff and Pelosi at one of their parties has been arrested in the Pelosi insider trading ring. And you would see these just lines of just looking like a brain flow chart of people falling down and just getting indicted over and over and over and over again. If this was a Fortune 500, where are these?
Never Pelosi.
Yeah,
but never the Pelosi's, never the Schumers, never the people who are at the top of the food chain.
Right.
Whenever you hear of these cases,
right,
it's always their assistants,
right,
or their drivers,
right,
accountants.
Joseph Siegel is here. I always love my Jewish friends. Hi, Joseph. Is Boomer MAGA finally having... You're off a generation, fuckstick. I guarantee I look better than you. That's why you have a fucking avatar. Put your real picture up. You know what that means? It means you're fat. Put it up. But anyway, I'm going to answer Joseph. Do I have buyer's remorse? No. Why would I? Why would I have buyer's remorse? Why? Because let me see. Let me make sure I understand this. You believe it's buyer's remorse if you hold your party accountable? No wonder why you fucking liberals get away with everything. So no, dude, we actually question those things. But if my Jewish friend wants to come on, it's 276-200-2105. We are completely not anti-Semitic. We are Jew friendly on this show. So come on.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
If the whole idea is that somehow or another that we would have buyer's remorse, right? The whole idea behind someone who leans so far right is already a distrust of the government.
Right.
We were already critical.
Yeah.
That's why we want the government to shrink to as small as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to have buyer's remorse from that. Are they going to get other snakes in the net along the way? Absolutely. And I'm good with that.
Yeah. And let me also say this. If Donald Trump is somehow guilty of, which I don't believe he is because Democrats would have used that, but let's just say he is, okay, which is not true, but let's just say he is. Because the only thing that he has with Epstein is a bunch of photographs from real estate conferences and fundraisers for Hillary Clinton, and has photographs with him, and so do a shit ton of other prominent people. But the only thing on the flight logs is flights to New York, Palm Beach to Newark Airport, and then there a couple of them on what's the prominent in California, Palm Springs. Those were the flights, and the reason why we know this is because if you have a G6 and it's on the tarmac with a full flight crew and stewardesses, it doesn't sit there and make money, and billionaires lease these out to friends. So, but if Donald Trump's guilty, throw him in prison for the rest of his life. Anyone who diddled a kid needs to be held accountable. But it's interesting because you don't give a shit about Bill Clinton. The only thing you care about is Trump. And all you do is come in here and you're a coward because you make your little fucking comment and then you run away like a little bitch because like, oh shit, this show actually engages with our audience. And this is why you liberals aren't a challenge, because you guys don't have the moxie to come in here. You don't have the chutzpah.
I'll say this.
A word you would understand, Mr. Spiegel. Go ahead.
I'll say this, that it does seem like it's the far left that trusts the politicians and the government far more. And when that turns out to be something that happens, they always just turn the blind eye, don't they?
Yep.
Whether it was Bill Clinton's blowjob or Pelosi's stocks, like what we were just talking about, whether it was AOC's illegal contributions to her campaign fund, whatever the case is, all of that just seems to go away. If anything, when you lean so far right, you want everyone to have their day in court. If they're truly guilty of something, I don't care what side they're on. I don't.
Right.
But I do expect that standard to be applied evenly throughout the entire political spectrum.
Right.
And
Wouldn't that be nice?
applied evenly does not mean, hey, we're going to single out Donald Trump, sit on his residence, and then roll up claiming that he's got top secret files that he stole when everyone knows that's horseshit, right? Not when you've got Joe Biden's Corvette files, right? When he was a senator, not the vice president.
Right.
You know, so it's having that same consistent standard across the board.
And isn't it interesting that Letitia James looks like she's probably going to get away with bank fraud? And it just shows you,
right?
it shows you the difference between this administration and the Biden administration. This is Letitia James, the person who specifically went after Donald Trump for the same shit, and the administration is not crucifying her. They're letting state and local government handle it in New York. That just shows you that this is a different administration. I thought they were dictators on day one. I thought they were going to use political lawfare. I thought they were going to go ahead and throw everyone in concentration camps. You fucking people
remember when The View said that?
You guys have no...
Remember when The View asked that?
I know. You have no bearing. You just don't have any bearing. It's not even remotely close. Now, we're criticizing the Trump administration because we want to see people who fuck kids pay. And we're not seeing it. And it's not just Trump. It's the Biden administration. It started with Trump. 2017 was in his administration, but Biden didn't do anything about it. I want public records released. I want these people absolutely hung by a yardarm. All of them. Why don't you? So it's not buyer's remorse. It's caveat emptor. It's buyer beware.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always been. I've always questioned my government. The question is, why don't you? Why do you want more of it?
Right.
It baffles me. But anyway, thanks a lot, fuckstick. Thanks for calling in. You know what? I know a lot of Jews, and I love them. And they have balls. You don't. Yeah. So you must be a convert. Moving on. Let's go into... We're not moving on. We're staying here. Benny Johnson.
Oh, good old Benny.
Yeah, Benny wants to talk about the cell block photos. Listen, everyone's like, well, wait a second. How did Bongino and these guys, how did they get a video of the cell when they said that there was no video? Well, we found out that it's not the cell door. It's the hallway and it's around the corner. Well, that's a far cry from nobody entered his cell. Here's Benny's video. I'm gonna give Benny a shot. You know what?
I heard this too.
I didn't watch this, but I want to see what Benny has to say because usually Benny's a gotcha guy, but Benny occasionally, like a blind squirrel, gets a nut. Let's see what he found out.
Now let's look at the screenshot from the video the DOJ shared. So you can see here that the officer would have been able to see Epstein's cell door and cell block. So when they say the officers fell asleep, they said that for a reason. They knew that the officers that were stationed there would be able to look directly at Epstein's door. They needed an alibi because something bad happened. You immediately notice that whatever this is not the cell block that Epstein was in. Those are not cell doors. In fact, this 10 minutes into the video, a person just comes out of one of those doors with a trash bin and places it in the middle of the floor. So if it's not a cell block, what is this? The space that we're looking at is the common space near the elevator's staircase. I've marked it myself on the diagram below. The red dot is the position where the cameras are. The DOJ released video was recorded. This is the opposite of the officer's station, and in no way could have seen Epstein's cell block, let alone Epstein's cell. Even the one piece of evidence that they released is a lie. They said, here's Epstein's cell door. It's not.
Wow, Benny sounds like us. When did he start getting some emotion in his stuff? Good for him.
The way you can confirm this is the space marked on the schematics and the angle and the shape of the floor that matches the angles that we see in the doors in the video. The door is marked 46. That leads to the main entrance. This is not Benny's work. I can already tell. It's way too thorough.
Yeah. This is an analyst. Good for him.
Somebody gave this to him.
Yeah, this is an analyst for sure. There's no fucking way Benny did
Somebody did their own level of research, emailed into the show, and Benny took it and ran.
Well, he's actually pulled it off of Twitter. So I pull stuff, but I credit. When I pull stuff off Twitter, I give credit to the people. He doesn't do that. Second, if you're recognizing hexagonal patterns in the blueprints, that's an analyst point of view, not Benny. Trust me. Just look at that face.
The exit for the entire tier. So if we go once more to the DOJ footage, you can see that the officer station at the far end. When you zoom in, you see some teeth on the side. You can see them right there. Those teeth are the staircase up to Jeffrey Epstein's cell. See them right there on the far right-hand side. Guys, is Tom ready? Is Tom set? Okay, great. Okay, we'll move very quickly here. The only thing that we can remotely see in the direction of Epstein's cell block is this silver staircase.
Melanie says, nothing, even if they arrest 1,000 people, is not going to pay my bills and change policies in my state. Then you shouldn't be worried about Donald Trump anyway, because state policies are handled by your legislator. So it doesn't really matter about Biden either. See, Melanie, it's that attitude, in my opinion, which is detrimental to this country. Just because it doesn't impact you doesn't mean it can't and doesn't mean it won't. It impacts the integrity of this institution, the hollowed halls that are supposed to be filled with honorable men who are pragmatists, men who believe in something larger than themselves, and they are corrupt and they are complete shells of what our founding fathers expected. And it's the times when we say, oh, well, it's no big deal because it doesn't affect me. I'm sorry, kids affect me. I have children. And I would like to believe that if somebody hurt my child and trafficked my child and stole my child away from me, that somebody would pay, that someone would pay dearly. And this shows me that really anyone with money can get away with anything in this country. I think that should bother everybody. And it just blasts me that there's people who are like, oh, well, this doesn't affect me, so I don't care. I'm sorry, I do. I care a lot.
You can go up and down the staircase without being seen by the camera.
It may be your replay to Joseph, Melanie, but it's still a take, and I just don't agree with it. It doesn't mean that I think less of you. I just disagree with your take. Doesn't matter. I disagree with it. It's in my chat. So if I see it, I'm going to address it. That's all. And you're not the only one. There's plenty of people who are like, I don't care about this. So he fucked kids. Who cares? I care. As a victim myself, I kind of care. I wish the guy who did that to me would have been held accountable. Instead, he raped, I can't even tell you how many other children. Melanie, calm down. It's amazing when you get called out how you fucking melt down. Relax. Fucking read the entire convo. No, I'm just going to read that one part. And if you'd like to explain it to me, then enlighten me.
Anyone could have entered Epstein's cell. Even in the footage. Now, this is important. Gate 46 is the only way in or out of the SHU cell block floor. Okay, got it. So this is the full entry to the floor. We have 11 hours footage throughout the night with that one missing minute. So you must prove that nobody entered or exited the floor, right? But the obvious question is, how do we know that someone wasn't there beforehand? How do we know someone wasn't in before the DOJ video started? By all measures, you could have stayed in Epstein's cell block. You could have actually not been seen by the camera or the guard if you were just hidden inside of the utility closet or the crawl space. Right there, there's Epstein's door, and there is a unlocked security closet. And there is the broken camera. So, of course, we have no footage of what actually happened. We have no footage of Epstein's door. It's all a lie. And the footage that we're seeing is the entirety of the cell block. Anyone could have entered Epstein's actual tier. And that's the one piece of evidence we got with zero explanation. And I cannot emphasize enough what an insult that is. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us, Tom.
Why don't you give credit to Jesus Enrique Rojas, who just did that intel analysis for you, who did a great job
for you.
It was amazing. He killed it. And Melanie, I'm not mad at you. I am addressing a comment that was made that I don't agree with. I have a right to do that. I can read the rest of the comments, but you said nothing, even if they arrest 1,000 people, it is not going to pay my bills and change policies in my state. That's a take. I don't agree with you. That's all. It's not personal, and I don't need to fucking read the rest of the comments to understand that, because that's all the context I need. I just don't agree with the premise, and I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying I don't agree with you, because that's what we do in this show, is we talk about things and we have conversations. I just disagree with you. You don't need to get upset. Maybe you're not upset. I don't know. Sounds like you're upset. So that's the first thing. Here is a video that was posted earlier today about Marsha Blackburn. This is from a rando account. Listen to this. This is an interesting thing.
I'm talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who clue on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking, sex trafficking ring. Now, earlier...
Oh, Melanie has a comment. And fuck you too, Melanie.
Wow.
Fuck you right back. God, anybody questions Queen Marino, watch out. Don't ever question. She can question you.
Boy.
You question her, you get the middle finger.
Right.
Is that my time of year for the proctology exam? You can come on over anytime you want to, sister.
I urged then Chairman Durbin to subpoena those records, and I ended up being blocked by Senator Durbin and Christopher Wray. They stonewalled on this, and I know that breaking up these trafficking rings is important to President Trump. So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight.
I'll talk to you about the
Interesting. All right, so there's that. Melanie says, "Damn straight, you don't like my middle finger." I don't do ass play. I'm sorry, it's not my thing. It just isn't. It's not like I haven't tried it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I've tried it. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Prison was
Women's Day.
Yeah, prison was not nice to me. Ben Shapiro decides to chime in, and here I'm going to show you the other take. And here's Ben Shapiro's take. And Ben is, listen, I know Bongino, I know Cash, and I don't think they would lie to me. Well, this is the see, for someone who is a master at debate, this is the logical fallacy, which is, applying power to the authority. And making the authoritarian argument is that these people, because they have been important in the past, or because they're knowledgeable in the situation, or they're behind the scenes, that we have to surrender our perspective and comply with their authoritative position. It is not something I expect from Ben Shapiro, but this is Ben Shapiro. He flip-flops all the time. I mean, he talks out of the side of his mouth all the time. It doesn't mean I don't like Ben. Ben kind of started this whole thing, and I admire the shit out of him in a lot of ways, but I also think he talks out of his ass sometimes. Here it is.
We now have the answers. And the problem is this. People who never hedged their bets, people who never at any point suggested to you that they don't have data to back up the speculation, that the speculation was in and of itself the conclusion that if you speculate without evidence, that amounts to an actual conclusion to an investigation, they're going to be very upset today, because it turns out that the DOJ and the FBI have concluded that Epstein didn't have a client list and died by suicide, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. Now, again, does this put to bed all inquiries?
Someone said, when did this conversation happen between Marsha Blackburn and Kash Patel? During his confirmation?
Of course not. People can continue to speculate as much as they want. And I think there's still open questions here regarding how did Epstein make his money? But that's a very serious open question. And the speculation for a long time was he made his money from blackmail. But the DOJ and the FBI, again, run by people like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, are telling you, I'm not telling you, they're telling you, people who are members of the Trump administration, people you elected and put into these positions to get you the truth on this matter, are telling you
power to authority,
that he didn't, in fact, he was not murdered. He did not keep a client list, and he did not blackmail powerful figures. All right, that is the thing that they are saying, not I. They are saying this. If you're willing to throw that over and claim they're lying, then I'd like to see you present your evidence that they are in fact lying, because I know Dan. I don't think that Dan Bongino is lying to me. I know Kash Patel a little bit. I don't think Kash Patel is lying to me. I don't think these people are lying to me, which means that if somebody else continues to claim that they're lying, they ought to provide their evidence at this point. And now is the point at which the facts on the ground have changed. And so either you ought to shift your opinion based on the facts that have now emerged, or you ought to acknowledge that this was never a fact-based inquiry in the first place.
What do you think of that, Leroy? I put that on specifically for your opinion. Melanie, I don't know what you're talking about with a middle finger. My memory is like an elephant, but I have a selective memory for things that I just don't fucking care about. Go ahead, Leroy.
So I love Ben Shapiro, and I would give credit to him 1,000% for a lot of his shows were what drew me into, this kind of realm to begin with. But in this case, just because there's no client list doesn't mean that there's no crime. And I think that distinction needs to be made. And I understand what he's saying. He has implicit trust in either Kash Patel or Dan Bongino. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that I have to have the same trust. Because we in the intelligence community have always said trust, but verify. And so where it gets a little tricky is that just because, again, if there's no client list, it doesn't mean that there's no crime. But we have to be careful that we don't look when we're talking about exploitation and trafficking of kids. I want to bury the son of a bitch underneath the prison just as much as the next guy. But we have to make sure that we, kind of stick to the actual rules of the game, right? That we're not falsely accusing people, that we're not, drumming up evidence just to try and get a conviction out of something. That's not what the right is supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is gather said facts, and if we can't find said facts, unfortunately, in some cases, that means that the person that is guilty is going to end up going free. And it sucks to say that, but in a case where that a crime had happened, but there's no documentation of it, it happened on an island for which there's probably going to be zero physical evidence. I think that everyone's just going to have to get used to the fact that this may be one of those cases where we're never going to be happy.
But the appeal to authority argument is...
Yeah, I don't buy that.
If Ben was in front of me right now, I'd say, are you telling me to appeal to authority? And he would say, in this case, yes. I would say, well, which one? The one where they told me that there was mountains of evidence, and or this one that they tell me that there's not. So Ben's is like Ben Shapiro is a great debater, but I actually would love to debate Ben on a couple of topics, and one of them would be this, because I would say, okay, you want me to believe them? Which day did this start? Was this yesterday you wanted me to start, or the day before?
Right.
Because if it was the day before, then Epstein has a list that Democrats are on it, that they are running a child sex trafficking ring. This is what I was told, that he was peddling information for Mossad or the CIA. Right. That all the politicians and Democrats were corrupt because the multi-billionaires like Bezos and George Soros were all clients. Okay. Or do I believe the one that said, nah, I was just kidding? Which one do you want me to believe? So,
right.
So my argument as a person who collects facts is, do you want the 24-hour version or do you want the today's version? Because it's amazing how Ben comes out and profited off of sharing stories about Epstein and made money on The Wire with stories and doing shows on it. But now that Ben says this and everyone else and says he's not a Mossad agent, which reflects poorly on Israel, because this is what Ben Shapiro's doing. I mean, can I just out him right now? The reason why he's doing this and saying, believe Ben, believe Dan, believe Kash. The reason why is because this makes Mossad look good. Because that's the story. That's what people are pushing out there, that this is that he worked for Israel. Let me explain something. I don't believe Epstein worked for Mossad in any way, shape, or form. Mossad takes their people way too seriously, and their human intelligence is a cut above the rest. And you don't do that by taking risks on people and doing shit like this. This is a far-fetched scheme that has absolutely no proof. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Ben Shapiro and anyone else who said so shouldn't have peddled these stories if one day they were going to be worried about having to eat some crow. And now they're going to eat crow. And you know what they're saying? No. Now trust them now. Trust them now. Just not then. No. Here.
That's not how this works. And this is why you should always be super skeptical of a lot, 90% on the left and also 20% on the right, right? Like you should have some level of, I'm not sure I agree with that. It's okay. It's okay to disagree with Ben. It's okay to look at Cash and say, dude, you said you were going to do this. What gives? You know?
Yeah. Well, like, just do this. Say, you guys, he didn't kill himself. Here's what you've got. Utah, $5. Thank you, Utah. Hey there. So glad I stumbled on your show, as I love the concept, all you and what you're doing here, as I have learned so much from you all. Thank you. As a legal immigrant, you guys are amazing. Utah, we love you. Thank you for your $5.
Utah, 2.
Give me 5. Utah, give me 2. Listen, tell me he didn't kill himself. Tell him he wasn't blackmailing. But now tell me who were the people who paid for this, because somebody received those girls. And every single one of them needs to be investigated to the fullest extent of the law. Folks, either we're a country of laws or we're not.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Are we? I thought we were the law and order party. When did this stop? When are we like, you know what? Who cares? Doesn't impact me. It impacts those families. And if I was that father, I'd spend the rest of my life in jail.
Yeah.
And by the way, if Epstein was truly Mossad, they would have clipped him a long time ago. They're not going to leave that liability out there. You guys, this isn't a James Bond movie. That's not the way this works. Okay? If you think Israel was blackmailing U.S. politicians, do you think that the United States would continue to support Israel? I mean, you really believe that, right? Let me ask you a question. How hard would it be for one of these Republicans to go, you know what? Here's what happened. I was being blackmailed. Because this is what happens. Investigations happen. Emails are checked. Cell phone records are checked. This is how they find moles. And this is called counterintelligence. And there are groups working to ensure that our government officials are not being bribed or not being cajoled or not being blackmailed into things, folks.
Happens all the time.
So it's not like the United States, dirty-dur. We don't have a counterintelligence team that works on this. We do. So Mossad would not leave anything to chance. Okay? This guy was a sicko. This guy had billions of dollars and he had nothing to spend it on. So what did he do? He created a pleasure island and he trafficked in little girls and little boys, and prominent people visited the island. Some went there and partied and drank. Some people went there and were uncomfortable, they said. Some people didn't go to the island and matriculated with his circle. And some people disavowed themselves from him, as in Donald J. Trump, and banned him from all of his properties. So I'm going to take that guy. We're going to be right back with this. We're not done. I want to show you what the cabinet meeting happened today. Hey, you coming in? Ash, come on, baby. Hi, sweetie. I'm going to show you the cabinet meeting that took place today and Donald Trump saying, are we still talking about Epstein? ? It's like, dude, I think you know. We're going to show you what Tucker Carlson believes, and we're going to be right back. Watch this, folks. We're at $85 to goal of $300. We are $215 shy. That's a big number. We're already at 8:30. So if we haven't had a chance, I know you're all excited about the show and everything was fun and great, but if we haven't had a chance to donate, please do. We'll be right back. 2-minute break, 2.5-minute break. But if you haven't seen this commercial, it explains why we do donations, and it's with my family. It's kind of funny. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Olivia Spear, host of The Dumb Show. For 3.5 years, we never asked for donations, but after Facebook demonetized us for speaking the truth, we've had to turn to the one thing big tech can't cancel: you.
I'm Hayden, Matt and Olivia's daughter. This show's never chased sponsors or sold out. We've built something honest, and it's thanks to you.
I'm Ethan, their son. Every share, every dollar, every message, you're the reason we can keep calling out the BS and bringing color back to the world going gray.
If you want to help, we take PayPal, Venmo, or snail mail. You can send it to P.O. Box 2, Round Hill, Virginia 20142.
Can't donate? No problem. Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored. You can donate at thedumbshow.com/donate.
You know what happens when you turn the dial harder? You can make a harder grimace. The harder you grimace, the more effective it is.
You tighten it so frickin' I can't do it. I can't untighten
That's
it.
what she said.
That's what she's. Oof.
Whoa.
Oof. Coming in with it. Pounded. Pounded. Pound.
Child
Good for you.
is 15.
Ethan, you look like a hippie.
told the YouTube you.
You know this is recording, right?
Okay, let's go. Smile. Donate. Don't start with me. Donations. Every time you don't smile, I'm gonna punch you in the ribs. Donations. Take one. Scene one. Ready. Set. Ethan.
Break.
Ready. Don't screw it up.
Okay.
Ethan, don't mess this up. Ready. Set. Action. No. Whoa. Director calls action, not some stupid toddler.
But we've built something.
There's no but there. Why do you've been doing this since you were 2 years old? Try it again.
Just share the show with someone who needs to hear it.
He's so much better than you at everything.
Better at all.
Hayden, he's just like, even, it's just, go ahead, Hayden.
Thanks for helping us stay loud, proud, and completely uncensored.
That's a wrap. Well done, Spear family. I bet we make no money.
But I'm gonna owe them money without.
Hayden, do your thing again.
Oh yeah, cut it.
Baby shark doo 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 doo.
We do thank you for your support. It is the second night in a row where Bobby has come in with a huge donation, and we're holding on it because it's important to hold on it because it deserves to be recognized. And last night she came in with a huge donation, and she is doing another one. But we still would appreciate it. It's not just Bobby, folks. We've got a lot of people on here, and we want to try to hit our goals. So if you can help out, please do so. Real quick, it's not hard. All you do is go to thedumbshow.com, which you're seeing right here on the screen, and you click donate. For my podcast listeners, it's real simple, thedumbshow.com/donate. And then we have a new way to donate, which is actually really nice. You can come in here and you can put in your donation, and you can leave a message right here in this box, and we'll actually put it up live for you. You can use PayPal, Venmo, and now new and improved by hitting checkout right from this screen. You don't need to go anywhere else. You can come here and select and pull down and hit debit card or credit card. All available while you're there. Pick up a shirt, pick up a hat, pick up something fun for you, and tell them Matt sent you. We do appreciate it, and that's how easy it is. Damn, my snail mail didn't come through yet. No, James, not yet. Here is the video, Leroy, of Donald Trump responding to a reporter who asked Pam Bondi a question. And it said, can you explain about the missing minute on the jailhouse tape? Let's talk about that real quick.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, Ruh-roh. I've done, listen, Hollywood Video, Game Crazy, Movie Gallery. We had 3,000 stores, and I probably worked with at least 500 of them. And one of the integral parts of our stores for LP and loss prevention was the camera systems, and the exact same camera system that most people used. Let me explain something. There is no 1 minute gray out time during the changeover for the next day, and it doesn't delete the tape from the previous day. That's not the way it works. Okay. These are digital, and they are stored on a server, and they are stored for a certain period of time because legally they have to do that for any person who's in there who has a claim against the treatment or the services or anything else. So they have to keep that for the appellate process. I think it's 7 years in New York, and pretty much it's the same everywhere else. Maybe Tina Savajon or somebody who works as a prison guard can tell us, but it is a very long time that they have to keep these records. And second, they don't stop for 1 minute to re-record. Now, back in the olden days of 15 years ago, when you had VHS tapes, they would have dual recorders, and one VHS tape would start when the other one rewinds and stops for the next night. So this story is bullshit. It's not true, and I don't buy it in any way, shape, or form. And anyone who does, I've got a bridge to sell you. Leroy, chime in before we listen to this.
Do you remember that movie about 15 years ago? It was called Rising Sun.
Yeah.
And the whole it was about a murder.
Yeah.
It was
Wesley
about a murder,
Snipes.
and it was Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery.
And
it was the whole thing was about this idea that video imagery could be manipulated.
Right.
And I ended up swapping Wesley Snipes with Sean Connery.
Yeah, it was so cheese.
It was so bad, but it was so good.
Yeah.
And we should do something like that just to say, hey, look, we found this video footage, and then replay that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just listen, listen to it. I don't like Trump's answer. Excuse me, President Trump's answer. I don't like Pam Bondi's answer. And I think listen, I thought the Hunter Biden story was stupid. I thought people just wanted the same thing to happen to Biden that happened to Trump. And I didn't care less. So I get it when people are like, I couldn't care less. And Melanie, I wasn't a part of your conversation, but I agree with you to some extent. But this is different. If there were thousands of children trafficked, 300,000 kids missing, and this epidemic of 2 out of 3 children are going to have a physical contact that will not be consensual, that's a scary thing. And we have got to start making this more serious. Let's listen to what was said, and we'll go from there. Here's the response.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S.
Suzanne McGoran says, I try to help when I can. $21.10. Suzanne, that's why we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
appreciated.
you so much, Suzanne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure. Could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking.
Yeah, man, because your freaking attorney general had a leaked memo that Axios picked up, which says that there was no there. That the thousands of hours of and the thousands of people who are trafficked, it means nothing. And there was no client list. We don't actually think there was a little black book or a list that was on an Excel sheet, for God's sakes. It's literally the people who took advantage of these children. That's what we want. We want it released. We want these people to freaking pay. But you guys, nobody's paying. We don't care if they were blackmailed. Good for Epstein for blackmailing them. He probably shouldn't provide children to have them screw either. He got off easy. This is insane.
We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I think there 107 people now are dead in Texas. That's pretty serious. And if 1,000 little girls were raped and we've never got a straight fucking answer, and you're the one that said that you were going to release these files and you ran on it and said you were going to release our JFK files, you were going to release the COVID files, you were going to release the January 6 files, and you were going to release the Epstein files, and the only thing we got were a bunch of JFK files, I think people have a right to say why. Don't they?
Right.
Don't we have a right to ask why? God forbid that a reporter asks a good question, Leroy.
If one of the things that the president ran on was this idea of draining the swamp, right, and exposing all of this hypocrisy and all of this corruption that he claimed was already in the system. If this was one of those major linchpins, then it's a reasonable request, and he shouldn't be so dismissive about it.
Yeah. You know what he should said? Listen, that's a good question. I'm wondering that answer myself. You know, that would have been great because then that really shifts it to Pam Bondi, where she's kind of should be in the hot seat. And no, that's a good question. I'm wondering that myself because and
she was the one who said
6
months ago, she was like, we have the files.
Right.
She was the one who said that. They issued those giant binders. It was all over the press. Everyone thought it got their juices going, man. They were like, they got the binders. They're going to release everything. And then what did we get?
Well, and it's why are you guys? But why is the GOP playing naive? You guys told us this was important. You sold us that this was a huge thing. You said that the Democrats were involved and they were running sex trafficking rings, and that this was a big lie. Well, you told us to care, and we care, and now we're idiots for caring.
Now you
Holy
tell us not
shit!
to care? Right.
Right. You were either lying then or you're lying now. This isn't buyer's remorse. This is what we do. We hold people accountable. And it's been a while since I've had a chance to grind a little bit of an axe with Donald Trump. And right now I'm doing it. I have a right to, because wait till you hear this fucking answer.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also to the...
You were being asked specifically about the Epstein list. I showed the video last night. You can't... Listen, facts don't care about your feelings. You just can't make stuff up. You did say files. But you were specifically, we weren't talking about folders. That's like saying someone goes to you and goes, listen, was Epstein responsible for this on Tuesday? And you're like, did he do this? I can't believe. No, he didn't do any of those things. He didn't rape 1,000 people. He didn't set people. Nope. And you're like, really? I would have sworn. No, he did it on Thursday. Semantics. It's a semantical argument. Whoever hit the downvote, knock it off. Put it to a like. You're not getting this anywhere else because everyone else is playing damage control, so they keep their likes and their love and their money flowing. We're going to tell you the truth. You should be a little pissed off at Pam Bondi right now. I'm just letting you know you should be a little grumpy with her. Come on.
Huge.
Amen.
Because you really feel like you were deceived, right? That they're playing some sort of a shell game with the actual client list, if there is one.
Right.
And by her refusing, by her on one hand saying, yeah, I've got the files or I've got the list, whatever the case was, then fast forward and she's saying, well, what I meant was, no, come on. We're better than that.
Tom Shid says the word is obfuscation. That's correct. Or playing fast and loose with the facts or being dismissive. Okay. Or being purposely negligent and obtuse is also some words we can use.
Tens of thousands of video. They turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay. So what we're saying is that Jeffrey Epstein never, ever set up children to be trafficked or had sex with other people. So why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail and why was he in jail? So you're saying an innocent man committed suicide based upon false allegations? Holy shit. The appeal process for Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be awesome when their attorneys get this new information. You just said the only thing that Epstein was guilty of is having possession of child porn. That's what you just said. Did I hear it wrong? Let's listen again. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's hear.
I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have known...
Nobody wants to see child porn. We want to see the people who are responsible for the child porn be held accountable. That's what we're looking for, because you're the attorney general, the head of law enforcement person on the land. We expect that the buck stops with you. Maybe if you stop going on Fox News every 5 fucking minutes, you could get some arrests done. Because Letitia James, I'm waiting for, the J6 set up by Nancy Pelosi, you told us all about. The people who stole the election, we're waiting for those people. What about all the Democrats and the money laundering that was going on in Ukraine you told us about? Right. What about Biden and all the money? Either you're lying then or you're lying now. Which one is it? See, this is why I told you guys, be careful.
It's one thing to try to sell the American public on an emotional idea, an emotionally charged headline that you're then saying, hey, look, we have this. and it's sitting on my desk. This is proof. It's a big deal. And the big thing that is kind of linked to it, what makes it so much more emotionally charged, is the fact that there were kids involved. If this was just some average Washington run-of-the-mill money laundering scheme, nobody would give it two shits. They wouldn't.
Right.
But because there were children involved, and you had kind of previously sold the American public on the idea of, we know that there were children who were being taken advantage of and raped. I have the files. All right. Now what? What are you
Where are
gonna
the
do?
arrests? Where are the arrests?
Right.
We don't want to
what's the
see them, you
progress here?
dumb bimbo.
I don't want to see child porn. I want to see people put in jail.
Right. I want to see, the only porn I want to watch is the people responsible getting ass raped in prison. Show those videos. I'm totally down for the people who did this to be ass raped for the rest of their lives or have pineapples sideways shoved up their asses for eternity. We can totally pull a little Nicky on here. But what I don't want to see is for these guys to be like, oh, you want us to release child porn? Nobody asked for that, lady.
Right.
About that, we can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we release the video show.
Look at this. Look at this. Donald Trump's listening. It's going, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
This is not selling. I gave her a home run pitch where she could have crushed this, and this just sucks.
Definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every.
Holy fucking word salad.
kidding
Kamala
me?
Harris. I've never seen a white Kamala Harris before. We've now seen it. That video's from 1990. Oh, really? It was from 19. If she was in a courtroom, I'd destroy her.
The same minute from every night since 1999 has been missing off of every surveillance tape, and no one thought that might become a problem.
Right. Especially for insurance purposes.
Like,
what
at all?
if CTU wasn't available to stop the terrorist infiltration of releasing one of the Hungarian prisoners in there? Come on. I mean, we only have 24 hours to solve this crime. We need every minute. 23 hours and 59 minutes is not enough for Jack Power to solve this motherfucker.
And that's it on Epstein.
What? That's it?
It?
That's all we get? After
No follow-up questions allowed,
all the
folks.
time that you've spent
Nothing.
talking about
Nothing
this
to
at
see
rallies? This is it? We just got to swallow it and take it? Oh.
Right.
Wow, why does this sound like Russian collusion to me a little bit? Why does this sound like
the
Biden?
conspiracy you're looking for?
This is like the Biden cocaine. It's not mine. It's not my son's. Move on. Move on.
Moving on.
What do you mean? What do you mean inflation is transitory? Do you want to talk about that now that it's fucking 10.3% and it's 2 years later from when you said it? No, we don't. Eggs are the price that they've always been. Gas is fine. Your home loan's good. We're energy independent. Your prescription drugs are lower. This is the best economy we've seen in 80 years. Oh, well, fuck, forget about it. I didn't know that.
It's that same level of authoritarian dismissiveness.
Holy shit, what elitist.
I'll give you this line, and then that'll be the end of the conversation. You get no more follow-up, we're done. Like, wait a minute. You work for us, lady. Oh, it should inflame everyone watching. Honestly,
it just comes down to this. Just tell us the truth. I expect our government to lie to us, okay? But just lie to us effectively, right? Do it where we actually believe
better
you.
at it.
Yeah, get better at lying. This is the answer. You ready? There's too many prominent billionaires who are on this list. There are too many people who are involved in this. And honestly, we have them by the short and curlies. And we're able to control these people based upon this. We've allowed to take this down internally. We go ahead and control the way that they handle geopolitically, where they put their money, where they don't, who we tell them who to trade with. And this gives us ultimate control. Say that. And I'm going to be like, okay, the greater good is being done.
That.
Or say this. The NASDAQ can't take the fucking hit for us to throw 25 billionaires in prison, because if we do, it's going to trickle down to executive, to heads of state, to celebrities. And honestly, we can't do this. The amount of corruption, the amount of accountability that will take place. We have marginalized the people in positions of power in the government over this. And essentially, we're waiting for them ultimately to expire, and then we're going to put all the money against them and get them replaced. This is why you've seen some politicians like Bob Menendez to be outed. That little dipshit Republican, what was his name? Santos has been ousted. That's why Matt Gaetz is no longer here. These are people who have done nefarious things, and we are forcing them out of Congress. But what we're not going to do is go ahead and literally create a hit list for people to go ahead and impact the United States and blackmail people. We're not releasing it for that reason. That's all you got to say. And you know what I'm going to say?
Right.
Okay, the greater good's being served. But what you're doing is telling us Epstein's never be important. Who the fuck told you that? Who told you that? Nobody said that here in this administration. Epstein who? Who? I don't. La 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 la. Na 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 boo boo.
They can't do that.
Fucking
I'll tell you exactly why they can't do that, because that would serve every Democrat narrative that basically have said, and Matt and I are on the same page here. We know that the Democrats say one thing and mean something else completely. The rules never apply to them, but they would use this to say, oh, so many Republican billionaires are on this, and that's why we can't actually disclose that. We can't actually have.
Yes.
If the Republicans.
Yes. Yes.
Because that would be used against them to say, oh, look at all these Republicans who were billionaires who were on that list.
Here's the other thing. You just watched 10,000 hours of children being violated and ruined. And this didn't light a fire under you to literally do nothing else but find the people responsible and have a bloodlust, have a vendetta. I expect to see you in frickin' tribal war paint, woman. How can you not want to literally... Ask Tina Savage how fucking repulsive this is. And I can't go into details. But I will tell you, there's people out there who I know who specifically are on task force to work with this kind of thing. And they can't fucking stomach the things that they see. And you saw 10,000 hours of this, and you haven't made it your personal mission to literally bring these... Why is the dark web still up? You can shut down TikTok, but you can't shut down the fucking dark web? Come on, man. Something here's wrong. You can shut down TikTok, but you can't shut down the dark web. You can literally slow down my traffic on my shows 2 years ago and during COVID and just completely have my IP carrier limit and throttle my show. You can have Facebook and Twitter and X ban us and demonetize us, but you can't frickin' shut down an illegal drug, firearm, and child sex trafficking ring, Farmer's Almanac? Really?
Yeah.
So here's something. Diane Onusko says, if it's not being released, there is a reason. Now could be they got rid of it, all in the Biden years. But I think they have it, just doesn't want to release it and cause chaos everywhere. I have seen it. It was declassified when Trump left office. You had to be quick to get it. They took them all down quickly. Diane, call into my show. Phone number is 276-200-2105. I want to talk to you.
I would want to see that.
And if your information is credible, I will send you $1,000 to PayPal or Venmo for you to describe it and go on the record right now. Diane, call in. $1,000. If your information is credible, we will provide for you right now to Venmo or PayPal, and we will make sure that you get that money. But come on the show right now. Call in. 276-200-2105. I want to hear your story. I want you to tell us all about it. Listen, you guys, none of this is okay. It doesn't matter what the topic is. Don't lie to us. And for God's sakes, put the conspiracy shit to bed. Just shut everybody down. Be like, listen, Bongino comes up here. I've talked to you for 10 years. Do you really think, and he said it, do you really think I'm going to lie to you if there was evidence there? You know what? No, I don't think Dan Bongino would. And I don't think Kash Patel would. Pam Bondi, I think Pam Bondi could jumpstart a leaf blower if she wanted to. Listen, I said I liked the things she said. I certainly did. I think she was very pretty. I said I admired her. All those things are true. But then she did the job by not doing the job. We got to find out what she did, which is nothing. She's done nothing. How about the people who were leaking the information on the ICE raids? Did you arrest them? Why aren't they in prison? What about the staff leakers from SCOTUS who released the abortion decision?
The dude from the DIA who leaked
Right.
the Natanz fucking study.
Why aren't they in prison? Why don't you have photos of them in black hoods in Guantanamo Bay? It's not that we want reciprocity. It's not that we're slaking our lust for revenge. We want some fucking accountability in a place that doesn't have any accountability. That's what you said.
It seems like for every political administration, for every layer of government, that accountability is an idea left to the average person.
Right.
Left to the peons, left to the people who
Right.
work a 9-to-5 job and don't have $500,000 in the bank. Accountability rests with us, but never for anybody above us in the billionaire class or at the politician class.
I just, how is this? Okay, just listen to this last one. 24 seconds. 24. If this doesn't tell you why is Matt and Leroy, why are they so fired up? Is it because they're only at $106.10 on their donations? No, that's not it. But listen to this.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. There are tens of thousands.
Those are two different things.
Either. Okay, so here's my last on Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi, I had hopes of meeting you one day and having you on the show, but I'm just done with that shit. I'm done playing for the future. I'm playing for now. I'm playing for keeps. So I'm just going to call it out, spade is spade, like I always done. I don't care. If you don't want to come on my show after this, we would have a great conversation. I probably wouldn't even bring up Epstein more than for at least 5 or 10 minutes. But here it is. Either you are completely inept or you are complicit. That's it. You are incapable of not saying things that are not accurate and true based upon the facts that later get you in trouble, which is the premier definition of being inept. Or you are complicit and culpable in this by covering it up. There's no other reason. Those are the two most obvious choices in this. And neither of those are prerequisites for being the attorney generals of the United States. It's just not. That's it.
What she should have said, if she was wrong, let's assume for a second that there's a third option, that it's not that she's necessarily inept, although from the way she worded her speech, she could have done that better. Or she's complicit, possible. But there is a third option, which is that she just misspoke, right? And that what she should have said was, look, we have thousands of files, of video files. We're going through them now to determine whether or not Jeffrey Epstein appears in any of those videos. We will get back with you.
Let me ask you a question.
Maybe she could have left it there.
I was making a very good point. Let me ask you, what level of law school do you believe that is learned in?
Oh, that's 101, man.
Okay, she's fucking inept.
101.
Then she's inept. She shouldn't be a junior college professor, let alone the attorney generals of the United States. If she can't figure out that words matter, especially in the court of law, and you should word and phrase things when you are representing the law and order president. Because here's the thing. This is why it's inept. Did it feed into the narrative?
Yeah. Then
she's fucking inept. Because she fed into the narrative. And once she found out and got on the job and realized that the narrative wasn't what it was, Then she backpedals and tries to put the proverbial shit back in the horse or toothpaste back in the tube. Well,
would you feel that same way had she, and I'm not saying she did, but would you feel that same way had she said, look, I was wrong before?
No. If she would have been like, I fucked up. I made a mistake. I jumped. I got ahead of my skis because I wanted to hit the ground running on day one. And I answered questions that I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And that is my fault. And it's my own vanity that got to me. I got caught up in the Fox News. I get caught up to having a voice. I was shunned by a lot of people for a long period of time. And I just got caught up in the moment. That will never happen again. I am here to execute law and order, and I will be holding people accountable and doing my job. I will not be doing Fox interviews anymore, and I'm focused on my job. I want to apologize to the American people for laying any track that led down this path, because that's my responsibility as the Attorney General, and I want to apologize. You know what I would say? Fucking run for president in 2028.
Right. No,
that's what I would have said.
And that's beautifully said too, because I think it's important. Not enough people can make that distinction, for one, but two, when you show contrition after you do fuck up or misspeak, then that's going to go a long way.
It's self-accountability. It's what we're calling for.
Honestly, the American public is pretty generous when people are contrite. They're far less generous when they found out you fucking lied.
Yeah. It just comes down to this. I don't blame Pam Bondi. I don't. What I wrote today is what I blame. That people are all about making the most noise so they can be heard. And honestly, there's not enough people in the world who just stay silent and watch. Yeah. And this is what I try to do. I try to watch. I try to listen. And then people, Matt, where do you keep all that information? I don't allow the noise to distract me. It's not that hard when you don't allow noise to distract you. It's really easy when your entire focus is to disprove everything you hear, so you can truly only listen to the things that are accurate. It's an amazing way to think versus confirmation bias, which is listening to everything that you agree with and ignoring the things that you don't. That is not the way you should be processing information in today's day and age. You are just looking to get bamboozled, to hoodwinked, to run amok. Plymouth Rock didn't land. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Landed on us.
You've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. Run amok. My countrymen, lend me your ears. Gross. Dude. Gross. Here's Megyn Kelly's take. And it doesn't matter what she says. It's going to be perfect. This take will be perfect. I don't care what she said. Pretty. Oh, my God. Don't get me started. She's an angel. Here it is.
In the memo, the language that Pam Bondi used, which was no incriminating client list, that really jumped out to me, actually, because it maybe gives her a little wiggle room between saying that she had a client list and then saying there's no incriminating client list. So I wanted to ask you if maybe that's what's going on here before we get into some of these other details.
I don't know what's going on with her. I believe Dan Bongino's not lying to me. I really do. When Dan Bongino puts his name on something, I don't know Cash as well, but I know Dan. I know him well. We've worked together many, many years. He didn't just turn around and start lying. That's not who he is. He's an honest guy, and he takes this role very seriously, and I trust him. And I trust him not to actively mislead me or you. However, Pam Bondi has definitely made multiple inconsistent statements, and I'm sorry, but she does not deserve the benefit of my good opinion, and I'm not prepared to give it to her.
She's, for you.
Yes, on camera saying that clip that Peter Doocy was.
Just proves again, folks, that no matter what the topic, what time of day, no matter what challenge, no matter how tall the building may be, or what crime needs to be solved, Megyn Kelly is always right.
Where John Roberts asked her, do you have the client list? Like, are you going to release a client list? And she said, yes. He said client list, and she said, yes, it's on my desk right now. So it was not as amorphous as Caroline, to her credit. She's trying to cover for the administration, which is her job, but they put her in a very difficult position. It's not amorphous. It's very clear. She said yes. And here's what happened. What happened was Pam Bondi said that. And then a week later, she said she was going to be releasing some very interesting documents the next day when on Jesse Waters' show, like 6 days after that first hit, he said, hey, what client list is coming out? And she was like, it's going to be getting very interesting, and some interesting Epstein documents are coming out tomorrow.
That is
and
right.
that is when the influencers, right-wing influencers who had been very good to Trump, who
got the classified binders. They even said classified across the front.
Remember that?
And it was all, we reported it. It was all the same. Chad Prather was out there. DC Drano was out there. Cat Turd was out there, maybe. What's her face? The blonde. Liz Wheeler was out there. We didn't get an invite. Why? Because the first question I would mean is, what's the designation on this classification? That's the first question Leroy and I would have had. Where's the designation on this? And what do you mean it's classified? By whom? Which agency? Which source material here is classified? And why is it classified? What type of intelligence is this? Is this signal? Is it electronic? Is it human? And why are you giving it to me when my clearance is inactive? You know what they would say? Mr. Spear, you really don't want to be here, do you? No, I want to make sure that I'm not going to be thrown in fucking prison for releasing this information. That's the question I have. But nobody asked those questions, did they?
The mishandling of any classified information is prosecutable. So if that is truly happening, and again, this is that two-tiered justice system that we've talked about, right? If Trump truly did steal documents that were TS and above his ability to declassify, then yeah, maybe he should be held accountable. So should Biden. So should Hillary. So should every other mother who had done something similar.
That's correct.
But that is never going to happen because we in this country cannot enforce consistent standards.
And I give Trump a pass because we went through that inventory. And we found
that was just cover sheets.
We found 17 documents that should be considered almost that might be an oh shit sandwich. 17 documents. The thousands they were talking about were newspapers and photographs and press clippings. We read the inventory to you. I got you the FBI report. We had it before everybody. And we broke it down for you. And there were 17 designations of TSSCI, and a lot of those were cover letters or cover folders. The designations, that's all they were. So you would have to make the assumption, if the classified information is being held properly, that they made it to a burn bag. That's what you would assume. You don't sit here and make lawfare without knowing the answer. You have to assume that proper procedures are taking place, because if you don't, you will not recognize when they do not take place. You don't go looking for garbage in any situation. You go looking to be sure it's being done right. And when it's not, you will find out what's wrong. It's just, you guys, if anyone could go through intel training, the one thing I would say you would have a complete, the biggest benefit it would give you is that you will completely rewire the way you process information.
Yeah.
It is a gift. And it is a gift that the United States government gave me, and I would not trade it for a world. Every book I've read, every job experience I've had, any experiential learning I've had, it doesn't matter. I would never give it up for what the United States government taught me how to do, which is how to think differently. Go ahead, Leroy.
Hell, 80% of the time, the actual titles to those documents aren't even classified.
Right.
80% of the time, the part that they classify is normally how they acquired the information, because there's usually some technical savvy or something that they're trying to keep suppressed just through like technical means, right? That's what they're trying to keep suppressed. Normally, the titles and about easily more than half of most TS/SCI reports aren't really classified. Like, and they always put that at the beginning of a sentence. If a sentence is truly classified, they'll say, secret rel 5i, something along those lines. But if it's not, generally speaking, it has to say unclassified, or they'll put a U in front of it.
When in doubt, classified out.
And a lot of times, what you run into is a lot of the body of some of those reports all say U. It's only like one or two paragraphs normally.
And the thing is that this is like one of the first things you learn when you're designated something or handling information. Always assume that it is the highest level of classification that you're cleared for. Yeah. Always assume. That's it. It's just like you always assume a firearm's loaded.
Yeah.
Always. You always assume that you're handling information that is TS or higher. Always.
Yeah. They have something called SCGs, security classification guides, and they're usually dated, and they usually come from any one of a number of agencies. And what you're supposed to do, because I'm not necessarily somebody who is an original classification authority, what you're supposed to do is when they give you this guide, you say, all right, my data has this. All right, now how does my data appear in this guide? Oh, because I acquired it in this way, that brings it to this classification level. And you have to use those SCGs in literally everything that you ever go to classify. And so these kinds of things are not, there's no ambiguity here. It's always very clear cut.
Folks, we're sitting at 106.10. Last chance to donate. We're going to watch the rest of this video, and then we're going to wrap up our show tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with Ryan Weaver. And that more than likely will not have a lot of donations. I don't like having guests and doing donations. So if you do want to donate, you can do during the show, and then Olivia will put them in when we sign off. But if you haven't had a chance, now is the time. Here's the last of this, and we will be right back after this Megyn Kelly finishes up.
All the deranged media out there were able to see through the bullshit and reported honestly and helped him a lot and did not deserve the humiliation that she heaped upon them. It was not through their own doing. She invited them there. I mean, who wouldn't go, right? It's Pam Bondi. Do you want to come meet with the head of the FBI and the vice president for an exclusive Epstein leak?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Most people in media would say yes to that. So they went.
But I still would ask, I would still ask for what the designation and the classification is, though, for sure. And I would want a full and immediate release and a pardon, not a preemptive pardon, but at least a
something so that you can't, it would never come back on you.
Yeah, I would want a release. I would want a release from the original designation of the source information. So that's what I would want. You know, because I'm sorry. If I get a binder and it says classified on it, I'm going to be like, why are you trying to set me up? What does this mean?
So we can put you in the cell next to where Epstein was.
What you're basically saying, though, is that when you put classified on it, it shows that, first of all, you have no idea what a classification is. And second, that you don't take it seriously. Because those giant red letters on the front, classified, is literally a dog and pony show. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's bullshit. And I'd be like, I got to give DC Drano credit because he was kind of like, fuck this. I'm not going. There was a couple people that were like, I'm not going out here with this. It says classified on it. And I'm with them. I would have been the same. I would have been like, guys, do not take this out here. I would have formed, it would have been like Che Guevara or who was the union labor worker in Mexico? Like, let my people go. Don't do it. Here's the rest.
From Animal House, you fucked up. You trusted us. That's what happened. They fucked up because they trusted her, and they were humiliated because she gave them all these binders that read Epstein files, volume 1. And there was nothing new in there. Nothing. There was no scoop. Why would she do that? And it led to, behind the scenes, like all the White House staffers, like the top people in the White House for Trump, distancing themselves from Pam Bondi immediately. Like, we don't know why she did that. And then it came out that they were urging her not to do it. But I don't know what she was up to. She wanted to have some moment where she looked like she was the one. And then she was in trouble and she knew it. So she said, all right, that's just the first tranche. I'm really pissed off. The FBI is the one who screwed me. Yep. They said everything was in there. Okay, like you need to know. You need to know that no lawyer just sloppily calls all these PR people in and says, here are the files without knowing what's in there. But she wants us to believe she did. Okay, so she either was clueless or she intentionally embarrass them. I don't know.
Thank you. God, you know what? Megyn Kelly is literally she is my soulmate that isn't my soulmate because my wife is my soulmate. But if there's such thing as a second soulmate, if I could rip my soul into multiple parts like Voldemort, I would give some to Megyn Kelly and keep my Horcrux with her. I'm just letting you know, this woman speaks with my voice. I love the way her brain works. Because it's based on facts. She's right. Like I said, she said the exact same thing I said. She's either inept or complicit. That's essentially what she just said. There is nothing else. You are a professional, for God's sakes. You have a TSSCI. She's the attorney general, for God's sake. She gets to hear things that no other law enforcement in the land gets to hear. Also, I want to make a point. When somebody go ahead and says that they have a video that they saw of the Epstein video and all this other bullshit, and I tell them I'll give you $1,000, you understand that I'm not going to give them $1,000 because there's no fucking way they have that information. But if it is, I'm going to make $100,000 off that $1,000 investment. So yes, I'm willing to scrounge up $1,000 that I don't have in order to make $100,000 because I am going to sell the rights to that shit to every single freaking media company in the world, and we're going to fund the Don't Unfriend Me show for another 3 years. Okay? That's an investment. That's like saying, oh, hey, Apple's going to triple. That's an insider trade. Someone says to me that they have a tape. If they have it, I have a $100,000 tape. If they don't have it, then we don't lose anything. It's a win-win. Okay? And there's no way that that person was going to show up. Here's the last portion.
Better.
That's it. Better is what she said. Leroy, what do you think of what Megyn Kelly had to say? Anything you want to challenge or disagree with?
No, she is always so eloquent in the way she breaks down a problem. And to your point, I mean, she just articulates everything in a way that a lot of people are thinking it, but they struggle for the words to bring it to audible, so that everyone can hear it. Megyn Kelly has that gift, and she articulated the problem exactly correctly. So did you. That either Pam Bondi is inept or lying. And I think we can conclude at this point that she's covering for something.
I think Pam Bondi got caught up into the glitz and the glamour. And I think she's an attractive young lady, woman, who gave a lot of pause for people who were like, who is she? Even though I knew who she was because of Florida. And she's a Trump supporter, and she was on all his rallies, and she touted for him all the time. I knew who she was. And I wasn't just like blown away by her, but when she went through her confirmation, I'm like, okay, I like her. She's shit hot.
Yeah.
She's tough.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't have a right to change. Like women, I have every right to change my mind.
Absolutely. I think, and you know what? That's a fair statement. I think that the farther right a person is on the political spectrum, that we have that innate ability to change our minds. We have the ability to take in new information and then do a course correction based off of that. I think that is something Patricia Luza donated $10.80. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia. That helps.
I think that's something that is lacking on the left, is that ability to question your initial assessment, right? And then they trust the same person implicitly, no matter how many times they get screwed.
Can I show one more thing that I need to show?
Yeah.
Tucker. Have you heard the new name that people are giving Tucker?
No, I haven't heard it.
Listen, I know this seems like a giant bash fest on Republicans tonight, and so be it, because it kind of is. Because I don't believe that some of the things and some of the people we're talking about are Republicans. And a lot of people are calling him Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you saw it over the weekend, but a giant interview dropped with the Iranian, I believe, president.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the cliff notes of this. And it was like 27 minutes of him just literally espousing cleric and Iranian state propaganda.
Really?
Yeah. And
oh, weird.
Well, he did it with Putin.
Yeah.
I mean, God. I mean, I don't listen. Tucker, I just want to know what his motives are. And he's one of the groups of, I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. Bobby Richardson donated $206.46 for Leroy to get a new tree. Love you all. Thank you, Bobby.
Oh, thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby, for helping us hit gold tonight. Without Bobby tonight, this would have been a tough one, but we appreciate her. We held on to that, and we appreciate. I think a lot of people are like, Bobby got it tonight. We're going to hold off, and that's fine. Listen to this video by Tucker. This is the last thing we're going to do on Jeffrey Epstein. Listen, I think All I need to know about Tucker Carlson is when he was fishing in Central Park, which you can do. He was fly fishing, catch and release. And a gentleman who doesn't like him walked up on him and started filming him. Tucker Carlson, his alarm bells should have went off. Ragnar says pooin. Dude, you have Japamation as a no. Go fucking play Nintendo and take out the trash for your mom. Shh. I'm just kidding. Ragnar says guy on the right is definitely Iranian. He's actually Persian. Leroy, we already know.
Me?
Yeah, Leroy's an Arab. He is. He's an Arab.
Dude, I didn't even know it. It wasn't until like what 6 months ago when I took that stupid 23andMe test and found out that I'm like North African with some high level of Egyptian and Syrian.
Yeah, yeah. And then
like
I found
should
out
be in a watch list somewhere.
Yep. And then I found out I was black from the waist down, so it was really cool. So here's Tucker.
I could have told you that.
Well, yeah, but you were drunk. Tucker Carlson on his comment on Epstein about being a possible. Just listen to this. I just listen.
So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up. The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes, very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they?
Ragnar says Persian Empire doesn't exist, buddy. It's called Iran now. Oh fuck, man. Thanks for telling me, man. I almost thought it. I thought, wow. Thanks, dude. Really, I watched 300 and I just got confused.
Are the Spartans real?
Yeah. I just I didn't know, dude. Really? Is Gerald Butler? Is he really? Is he Greek, or was he Roman, or what was? Was he Italian?
I think he's from Long Island.
Was he? Well, Long Island was around during those times, right?
I mean, California.
Oh. Wow. I did you learn that from playing Prince of Persia, the video game, Ragnar?
Oh, I love that game.
That was a great game. Ragnar loves it.
So good.
Ragnar's like, you fucking boomer, playing boomer games. And what's next? I love these guys that come in here. Honestly, these two look like beer drinking Trump tards, low IQ QAnon gay boys. Fucking listen, you got the gay right, but QAnon, Ragnar, why don't you call in? You'd be surprised. Why would you think we're QAnon? What the fuck? Do you even know what?
We've been ragging on the right all night.
Do you know QAnon is 2 words? They're genius. I mean, I just want to make sure you understand. I mean, since you're so smart, you know about Iran and Persia. Figure you'd understand how to properly use punctuation. These definitely eat Jewish PP. Oh, he's an anti-Semite. So you're a butthurt. Oh, he's a Gazan. He's just a fucking Hamas supporting cunt. Ban this fucker. See you there, Ragnar the Terrible. Iran isn't real. It's Persia. What a douche. Ragnar the Magnificent. Ragnar the fucking Virgin. Pretty sure. Here is Tucker Carlson.
What's he commenting on?
He's talking about Epstein. Just listen.
Covering up.
Listen.
The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only 2 potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another.
Yeah. So he was fishing in Central Park. There's a video of it. And basically some Democrat Yahoo was like, why are you fishing here? And then Tucker's like, why are you recording me? And you could tell he was nervous. He didn't have bodyguards around him. And this guy could have just capped him or something. The way Tucker handled him and asked him questions and started interviewing him and made himself look very docile and almost submissive, penitent. It was really great. Go look it up. It's just say Tucker Carlson fishing in Central Park. I don't dislike Tucker. I just listen. If you're going to yell at people for shilling for the Jews, you've got to go ahead and stop shilling for Qatar and UAE because we know what you're doing. And that's okay. If you want to shill for those countries, you can. Just stop pretending you don't. Stop pretending you're unbiased. Come on.
The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list. They've got tape of Trump doing something awful.
Why would you say that?
I don't believe that for 2 reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. And I know him. He's not that, for whatever his sins. I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity,
Right.
you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
I said that earlier.
Come on now.
Yes, of course.
So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. I have a history of this. There have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented that in many of those cases, I believe over a dozen cases, this was a BuzzFeed news piece years back, where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court. And they basically just made it go away. The only time they actually prosecuted somebody for child pornography was whenever he'd already being prosecuted for mishandling classified information.
Well, when they want to crush you, they put kiddie porn in your computer. It's why I don't have a computer. Don't own one.
Yeah, if you're an
That's
important
why.
person, you should be careful.
No
And
computer in my house.
This is an important thing, though, is that we already have documented cases of them covering this up. I believe the CIA Inspector General, I forget the exact quote, but he said something.
You know,
when Tucker laughs like that, does he give you the
the heebie-jeebies,
wildest creepy vibe? Yeah.
Oh yeah, total heebie-jeebies. And they put porn on people's computers, huh? Prove it. You're going to you're going to replicate my digital footprint and put child porn on my computer when you could literally just slip 1,000 different concoctions into my drink and liquidate me properly if I'm a threat. Now, do you really think the government needs to set people up with child porn in their computer and even take it to chance? I don't think you understand that if this government finds you as a threat, you're not going to know what fucking hit you.
Yeah. And that whole idea that the CIA, large swaths of the CIA had whole office wings of just pedos, just looking at porn all day. I really find that kind of hard to believe.
And
the only reason I could think of is that unless they're investigating something else already, like if I'm one of the analysts on Jeffrey Epstein's case, and somebody hands me the flash drive and says, "Hey, we think he's in here. You're going to have to go through all these videos." All right, well, now I've got, umpteen million gigabytes of kiddie porn, and I was just told to go through it as part of my job. Could that have been any part of it?
Or how about this?
Just saying.
You think your rectum is so clean that they have to manufacture something to find on you? Your tax, I guarantee you cheated on your fucking taxes. Or your accountant just slipped a back door into something and gave you some old code that was used in 1796 or something. We've all done stupid things. We've all done things that are not good. And if the U.S. government wants to set you up, all they're going to do is go digging for the garbage that you've already done and hold you accountable for it. They don't need to manufacture evidence and leave a footprint. If you put child porn on my computer, I would say, prove it. Show me. Show me that you have evidence that I was physically engaged in any of that, and prove the times. Show your evidence of video evidence of me perusing that data. Show me that someone wasn't using my IP address. Somebody wasn't cloning someone wasn't using my internet access. Prove it. And the last thing is that there's one thing I know for a fact is in order to get that type of shit, you probably have to download some sort of program on my Mac that doesn't run native for my Mac, which means that you have to make alterations to my Mac OS in order for that to work. And you have to prove that I know how to do that and did that. They're far-fetched. And do I say that our government doesn't do nefarious shit? No, of course they do. But they have enough on you already that if they truly want to make your life hell, they don't need to manufacture evidence. They're just going to get you for the things you already did. And they'll find some obscure fucking tax code to hang you on the cross. Okay? So calm down.
That's why we needed the 80,000 additional IRS agents, Matt.
It's why we need to get rid of the fucking Patriot Act.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Leroy, take us home. Folks, I want to say thank you for the donation from Bobby Richardson. Really heavy lifted tonight and took care of us. I want to thank everyone for the donations. They were amazing. Melanie, you got to explain the middle finger joke to me. I don't know what it means. I'm too tired. Leroy, take us home, buddy. Did that guy say that you were Iranian? You don't look Iranian. You look like Telly Savalas.
Oh yeah, who loves you, baby? Yeah, I remember him.
Who was Telly Savalas? Was he?
That was Kojak, right?
Yeah, but was he Turkish? What the fuck was Telly Savalas?
No.
I'll find out while you give your minute.
What if I'm related? All right. So first thing I'd like to do is big thank you to Ryan Weaver, who will be on the show tomorrow. Thank you very much for Ryan. Barry Morgenstein, big shout out. Thank you very much for everything that you've done. Big shout out to Still Point. And if you still haven't voted, Matt will post the link.
It's
an
over.
Amazing band. Is it?
They got second.
Damn it.
So what you need to do is just go listen to their music. STIILPOINT, not STILL. IILPOINT on Spotify, iTunes, wherever else you can find music. Napster.
Also big shout in Napster. Big shout out to Damani Felder, awesome friend of the show. And beyond that, thank you to everyone who donated tonight. Bobby, you're awesome. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And beyond that, it was a good night. Aside from trees hitting cars.
Who
thought that was even possible?
You're a QAnon magtard.
Oh, am I?
I love that. I love it when they call me cute because you're just like, dude, do you even watch the show? I mean, really? Right. I mean, dude, do you want me to show all these photos that you sent? Because they're really good.
I want to see it.
I'm talking about the ones that you sent me for the accident.
Oh.
No, don't show those.
No, you can. I don't care.
They're excellent, dude. I think people might be interested. I mean, we're already almost done, so might as well show it.
I don't care.
Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything.
So my kid parks at the end of the driveway, and he puts his car there so that when my wife is in the garage, right? When I go to pull in, he's not blocking anyone. Like she could leave if she wanted to. So that was the branch that the truck knocked off when it came by and came through. That's huge. That is like 8 inches in diameter. That's my kid's car. You can see there's damage on the ground there. Ripped up his spoiler, damaged the trunk. There's a huge gouge in the paint of the trunk there.
Oh, I'm not going to put
and now
that out there.
We're trying to figure out who's going to pay for all this. Right?
Ashley Fine Furniture is going to pay for this, bro.
We're like, literally, this happened at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh my
3
God.
hours.
Oh my God.
The size of the truck.
Look at that, dude. That looks like a bomb went off, dude. Oh man.
And we're like, when the hell? Why? Why would that even? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Telly Savalas is Greek. Telly Savalas is Greek. I knew he was. Yeah, I said Turkish. It's close enough. Turkey, Greek. It's all the same.
He's more related to you than he is me.
Yeah, he is, dude. Because I got a lot of Greek in me. I knew he was Turkey, Greece.
Yeah.
Hungarian, some shit. Paul Rivera, just a little bit so I can feel like I pitched in. Ha ha ha. Great show, brothers. Call them out. Listen, tonight's show, Paul. It might be your first. We had a shit ton of people on, by the way. We're just, hey, we're not asking questions. We're challenging you to think differently. And do I still love Trump? Of course. Do I love Dan Bongino? Sure. Do I like Kash Patel? Sure. Do I like Pam Bondi? That's very much thinning out, like Leroy's hair. But do I absolutely do I have an absolute affinity for Megyn Kelly? Yes. Megyn Kelly just continues to earn my utmost loyalty. Like, whatever you need, Megyn, however I can fulfill the role that you need. If you need me to you want to yell at me on your show, I'm here. If you want to make fun of me, you can do that. If you just want to use me as a resource, I'm here. Whatever it is, I am willing to be your lackey. I will be the next, what's his name? Dave what?
I don't know.
Who's the guy that left the Young Turks?
Oh, Rubin.
Yeah, I'll be your next Paul Rubin. You just let me know.
Paul Rubin.
Folks.
That's a little different there. That guy got caught whacking it in the theater.
No, not Paul Rubin. What is it? Dave Rubin.
Dave Rubin.
Yeah, Paul Rubin. Paul Rubin was Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
And he was playing Pee Wee's Big Top Adventure in the porn theater. Isn't that right? Didn't he die?
He might have visited Epstein Island.
Did he die?
I think he did, actually.
That's sad.
Yeah.
He was great in Mystery Men. Did you ever see Mystery Men about the superheroes?
Now I
Ben
gotta
Stiller?
know. Did he die?
I think he did, dude. I think he did. He wasn't like David Carradine, who died of asphyxiation in a hotel room, choking himself while he was jerking off. I mean, talk about a kung fu grip. Horrible. Too soon.
Yeah, Paul Rubin died in 2023, July 30th, actually.
It wasn't suicide, was it?
No, I don't think so.
I liked him. He was. Did you see Mystery Men?
No, but
You
I
need to
watched
watch
all of this other stuff.
You
Blow,
need to
he
let
was
us
in
know.
Blow.
Yeah, he was in Blow. Oh, he was great in Blow. What a little weasel in Blow. God, what a great movie. Johnny Depp is such a talent if he wasn't such a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Blow is such a good movie. Oh my God. And Penelope Cruz in that movie. Holy
Hell, when he
shit.
died, he was 70.
Paul Rubin?
Yeah.
Well, that
Didn't
would make sense. Yeah. Sorry to Dave Rubin. I apologize. I didn't mean to compare you to Pee Wee.
Now I got to look him up.
Oh, he's gone. Dude, he was in a Storm the Beach in Normandy. He's fucking gone. But Clint Eastwood's still here.
I bet
But Clint
he died
Eastwood,
in the fucking 90s.
maybe 2000. I'm gonna say 2008, 2009.
1994.
What? I thought he lived longer than that. You know why? I know why. Because look up Vin Diesel, and he looks just like Telly Savalas. So I'm just like, every time I see Vin Diesel, no, just look at him now. He's got the three chins, and he put on some weight. He looks just like Telly Savalas. Oh yeah, dude. He's like,
I was told I look like Vin Diesel just the other day by a coworker, and I was like, that's really sweet. I think. Like, do you mean?
Are you going to betray your family, Leroy? You can't betray your family.
Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious, or do you mean Fat Vin Diesel from?
Right. From whatever he's in now, dude. That guy has made so much money off the Fast and Furious franchise that he doesn't need anything else again. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I got to share this one piece of news, and then we got to go. Seriously, I love talking to you. I know you're tired. I know you got to go.
Oh, I'm good.
But this is something you need to hear. So, 666 million. Jeff Bezos, go figure, it's 666. Jeff Bezos sold a total of 2.97 million shares of Amazon stock in two separate transactions on the 2nd and 6th. The shares were sold at an average price of $223, bringing the total proceeds approximately $666 million. He has cashed out 6.2 billion. 6.2 billion in Amazon stock. What is he up to? What is he going to buy?
Yikes.
Is it TikTok? What is it? Would Jeff Bezos be the next plausible person who may buy TikTok? What is he going to get into AI heavier? Is he going to make a play for something else? What is he going to do?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Is there something wrong with Amazon? Is their business model not profitable in today's world with higher prices, with the tariffs, with overall energy costs? Is it possible that Amazon's losing their ass? And what would that mean to the fucking U.S. economy? Holy shit.
Oh my God, if Amazon. So think about
like
the
Apple.
business model too, because all they are is a series of warehouses that have delivery drivers attached to them. You place your order electronically and boom, next thing you know, it's at your doorstep.
Yes.
So what is the next evolution in that? Right? Could it be, now we are not going to use warehouses. Now we're just going to start drop shipping everything. I don't know.
Well, here's the problem. They have like $250 billion in infrastructure. If you close all of that, if you shut all that down, that is going to have a huge impact on the U.S. economy. I mean, but Jeff Bezos is selling Amazon like crazy. And remember, he's not in charge of it anymore.
Right.
So this is his stock. He already has a media company. So it kind of makes sense for him to buy TikTok. Wouldn't that be something? Because Elon Musk is going crazy. Did you hear what Elon Musk said about Steve Bannon today?
No.
Elon Musk simply.
The last thing I heard about Elon was that he was going to start his new American party.
He did. It's got 4% of America. Now take that by the average voter. That leaves about 0.75% of America that's going to vote. That's going to do nothing. The fucking Nazi party gets more votes than that. So here's the thing. Elon Musk put out a single tweet today, and it says Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files. So here's the thing. We just need to straight up know, and if I was White House press, like say I got in the White House and I was in the Monday seat of the new reporter seat where they bring in reporters, everyone but us. First thing I would say is, was Elon Musk briefed on the Epstein case? And what does he and does not know? Because he's making a lot of accusations about Steve Bannon and Donald Trump and everyone else. And I think America wants to know.
The general public doesn't know. Yeah.
Why was he briefed on this stuff? And what clearance does he own that the American people don't know? He's a civilian. He's not an employee. He doesn't hold a special clearance. So therefore, if he's a civilian, why can't we know the same thing he knows? It's an interesting question, right?
I think he does have a TS because of SpaceX.
Fair enough. But it doesn't mean he's read in on things that the American public can't see.
Right.
So why is he being read in on the Epstein files? That's my point. If it has a classification designation, because remember, it's being protected for national security. That's what they said. National security reasons. So if it's national security, it got a designation. Well, why is he getting read in? Just some questions. All right, folks, we got to go. Leroy, dude, I love being on with you. I'll see you Thursday. I hope you get your shit figured out. I hope you get a new tree. Just please tell me how this goes. I fucking hate American furniture. I want to see them burn. I want to see you bankrupt them for this. Say that family tree was planted by Abraham Lincoln or some shit, and he brought an
4,000-year-old tree. Yeah, right.
The Persians brought it over from the Arab lands.
Right.
It's from honestly, Mesopotamia.
Honestly, my kid was like, like he loves his car. Titanium exhaust. He loves the whole thing. I can't stand that car, but he loves it. And so it's like, you could tell he was like, am I going to get like a new paint job out of this? Like, he's really worried about it. And I can't say I blame him. None of this was his fault.
Yeah, so the point is like, Leroy has a clearance, but he doesn't get read in on the Epstein files. Yes, Elon Musk has a clearance. I misspoke when I said that. Of course he has a clearance. Even to get some of the information on Doge and to get into some of these buildings, you have to have a clearance. The point is, why is he being read in on the Epstein files? So either he's full of shit or he has information, and I want to know why we can't see it. All right, folks, we're going to go. Thanks for a great night. Bobby, thanks for helping us out tonight. You all have a blessed night. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, Ryan Weaver at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a great show. We'll see you then. Good night. See you, Leroy.
Love you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.